inside, and he's third.
And over the line to take victory.
Fantastic, what a race. Let's get ready to go racing.
Look at the traction out on there.
And they're off the drives down the inside, and he's third.
And over the line to take victory.
Fantastic, what a race.
Okay.
Let's get ready to go racing.
Look at the traction out on there.
And they're off the drives down the inside, and he's third.
And over the line to take victory.
Fantastic, what a race.
Space.
It's the most challenging competition.
The drivers here are the best in the world.
A strong qualifying is crucial to win the overall.
And
away we go here at Monaco. Igor Fraga will lead us.
But concentration is the key.
The grid for the next race is set of the result of this race.
This is the Nations Cup.
They're going to be side by side now, heading up towards turn number 6. Oh, a bit of contact. Fraga's up on the grass.
One mistake and your race could be over.
And now coming down to the first chicane, it is
Lopez! And he's through the Australian.
Or you can get stuck in traffic.
So if you know when to overtake,
It's heavy on the brakes, throw it to the inside, and Fraga has gone too deep.
And know how to defend your position.
And Igor Fraga is just corners away from being named your first FIA GT champion. Igor Fraga wins the 2018 World Finals champion.
You can become the Nations Cup champion.
Todo preparado para ver qué pasa hoy en Copa de Naciones. Soy MC Epsilon, para mí es un placer estar aquí con todos ustedes y a mi lado el grandísimo Lucas Ordóñez.
É verdade, muita emoção, muita adrenalina no dia de ontem e hoje espera-se não mais do que o mesmo. Muita emoção, muita adrenalina no dia da grande final da Nations Cup.
Ciao a tutti, io sono Andrea Facchinetti.
E io Emilio Cozzi.
Dopo una fase di qualifica si inizia a far sul serio. Arrivano le gare, quelle vere.
Eh ben oui, deuxième jour de compétition de la Nations Cup pour le FIA GT Championships. C'est le World Tour, ici c'est Paris. Et aujourd'hui on a donc du coup la Nations Cup.
Merci, hallo auch von uns, ich bin Florian Strauß.
Ich bin der Michel Wolk.
Und wir kommentieren für euch live aus Paris den Nations Cup bei der FIA-certified Gran Turismo World Tour.
Ja, und ich gebe mal weiter an die Jungs in UK zu Jimmy und Tom.
Thank you very much indeed, Michael. Welcome along to the English commentary position there. My name is Tom Brooks.
And my name is Jimmy Robert. You've heard from all our fantastic lineup of commentators. Let's throw it up to our ever lovely host, Julia Hart.
Hello and welcome to the 2019 FIA-certified Gran Turismo World Championships, coming to you live from Paris. Hello. We are so happy to be here, bringing you some fantastic racing. Now, if you didn't join us yesterday, you missed an incredible manufacturer series with Aston Martin sneaking in literally from around the corner to everyone's surprise and taking the win. Now, whilst yesterday was all about teams, today is all about those individual races, so it is going to certainly heat up. But why don't we take a quick look at the structure of our fantastic GT World Tour as we are going across the globe to find you the best Gran Turismo drivers in the entire world. New York is going to be amazing. Salzburg, back to Salzburg once more. I'm very excited about going to Tokyo, and that's a lot to do with driving and food. And of course, then we have in November our total world finals where we will be naming the best drivers in the world. Very exciting. So let's take a quick look at the schedule for today in terms of races. So first of all, we're going to have our top 6 qualifiers. So this is going to put their place on the grid for the first of semi-final A and then semi-final B. Then we're going to go to the very exciting Repechage races. They are always a bit of a goer because it is the last chance they've got to make it through to the final. And then, of course, we have our final race. It's going to be non-stop all day. We have got so much to show you. We're very keen to be here. So let's take a quick look at the qualifier standings as they were. So as you can see, we have Rubala, who is there at the top with the fastest time. Now those top 6 are going to go through to the top 6 qualifier in just a few moments. And you can see Portier is way down at number 9 there. There's a bit of a rivalry between these two chaps, I have to say, as they are both from Chile. Although there is a bit of an interesting story where Rubala actually told me that he actually told Portier to get back into racing for Gran Turismo as he'd kind of gone out of it for a little bit. So this kind of love-hate rivalry will certainly heat up on the track. It's going to be very spectacular. We're going to look at some of their stats here today. So this is from the online races in terms of how they've got these figures together. I mean, these aren't the only rivalries that we're going to be going on. We also have Mangano and Sassuolo. That will be one to watch out for. And of course, Hizal and Fraga as well. Obviously, Fraga, the winner of the Nations Cup last year. Now, if you don't know the structure of the Nations Cup, let's take a quick look at just exactly how it goes down, because the manufacturer series of the Nations Cup are a little bit different. So Nations Cup, you've got 24 drivers. You basically have 2 semi-finals. Places 5 to 10 go through to the Repechage races. Those are very exciting. And then we have one final race with 12 drivers, and then we crown our winner. That is how it's going to go down today. Now, I was talking a little bit about Hizal earlier, who had a bit of difficulty yesterday. He's not been feeling, too great. He's been tweeting a little bit online that he's been a little bit sort of stressed out. Even before he came to the race, he was a little bit scared, as you can see here. We thought we'd throw out a question to you guys, which is obviously, if you have a bad day, if you have a bad race, what do you do to shake it off? What's your go-to technique to get yourself out of the rut and back into the right mind frame to win again? Hit us up on hashtag FIA, GTC and GT Sport and let us know just what you do. A bit of advice for Hizal there. We'll pass it on for you. And I think we should really just go and get this top 6 qualifier kicked off. So I'm going to chuck over to my commentators for the weekend, Tom and Jimmy.
Thank you very much indeed, Sarah. Yep, welcome back to the commentary position. My name's Tom Brooks. This is Jimmy Broadbent alongside me. Top 6 qualifier then, Jimmy, for the Nations Cup. Unlike yesterday in the Manufacturer Series, everything a bit different now. Not necessarily teamwork that's going to be going on, but drivers thinking more about themselves, focusing on their individual performance here today.
That's right, Tom. And what we kind of said yesterday is that when you have the Manufacturers Championship, you have a nominated driver to go fast, someone who you know is a good hot lapper. Here, you have to be both. You have to be decent in the race and decent at the hot lap because, of course, for our top 6, that's going to decide their grid position in that all-important race 1.
Yeah, it certainly is. Well, speaking of race 1 as well, and ahead of that, we've got the top 6 qualifier, as you can now see on your screen. The Autopolis circuit, based in Japan, a brand new addition to GT Sport. You can see here a mixture of some fast and flowing corners, some more tighter and technical ones, though. 3 sectors making up the lap, and as you can see, a lot of turns over the course of it as well, including that tight hairpin just at the top end of your circuit there. That is a prime overtaking opportunity, and one of the very few actual overtaking opportunities here as well. You can see a fair bit of undulation at this track as well. After that hairpin, the track really does drop down before it climbs back up. 52 metres at the total elevation. So the driver's going to have to contend with that, of course. Tyre wear is going to be a very, very interesting factor over the course of this race. So let's see what will happen then as we get ready to get this top 6 qualifier underway. So then, the top 6 qualifying session for the Nations Cup. You can see all of these drivers here. So these were the drivers who were in the top 6 in the Nations Cup overall qualifying session yesterday, Jimmy. They've been split into 2 different groups, so we have 24 drivers here, 12 drivers per group. Of course, all these drivers in different groups, so where they finish in this session isn't necessarily representative of where they're going to line up on the grid.
No, that's right, Tom. We have a bit of a format here. It's A, B, B, A, A, B, I think, if I'm correct in saying that. So if you are second in here, you will start first in the B group. Of course, if you're first here, you will start first in the A group, and so on and so forth. But our drivers are out on the circuit now, taking it nice and easy. You're currently watching Jorge Lopez up there in that beautiful Spaniard flag-liveried X 2014 competition. Just very quickly, we'll go over it in case you weren't here yesterday for the manufacturers race. These cars here, these are X 2014 cars, are a bit different from the cars we've been using in previous races. The engine has been changed out. We now have a glorious V12 power unit sitting behind the driver. And you might notice the rear wing is a little bit different, a little bit smoother than before, so a little bit less downforce as well. So more torque, less downforce, more exciting to drive.
Yeah, absolutely right. So these Red Bull X 2014s have been very tricky to drive at the very best of times, and these drivers doing a great job of keeping them on the straight and narrow there for the most part. But this Autopolis circuit, Jimmy, as well, as we said, brand new addition to GT Sport. Bit of a tricky track to try and learn, though, isn't it? We had a few laps on it the other day. I spent the entire time trying to go sideways and mostly ending up in the barrier, but you were having a bit better luck.
Yeah, I did all right. I did cheat, though. I went onto the super soft tyre so I could beat these guys, as you would do. But yeah, it's a very fast flowing circuit. Definitely suits this kind of car. Downforce-based car, this. And what makes a downforce-based car so special to drive is the faster you go, the more grip you have from the wings, from the downforce. Yeah, rushing over the car and pushing the car down through the wings. So you have to have a bit of confidence in the car that it will stick. Of course, on these tyres as well, it's going to get a bit slippery because tyres and downforce are both components for grip. Currently watching Yamanaka go around at the moment. He's going to be the first person to start his flying lap, I believe. He's first on track anyway, but he might fit in for a new set of tyres.
Yeah, Tomoki Yamanaka, 4th last year in the Nations World Final in Monaco. 3rd, of course, in the Manufacturers World Final for Team Toyota as well. The driver has got a lot of speed behind him. You can just see our international commentary feed on the left there. there. We've got commentary here today in 6 different languages, which is absolutely fantastic. Really catering for our international Gran Turismo audience. Yamanaka-san was the first driver to set a lap time. It was a 1 minute 36.541. But Patrick Blajan, also going to the top of the timesheets. The Hungarian driver at 131.304.
It seems what a couple of drivers are doing are going around and just burning off that fuel, trying to get rid of as much fuel as possible, because that, of course, affects the weight of the car and therefore the overall pace. Now, here is Rubelar. We've seen him be very fast over the course of the weekend. Mr. Hot Lap, I think they're calling him at the moment. And then you go straight away, he goes in with a 130.5. So a very strong first lap there for the Chilean driver. But not everyone has put their best foot forward, I think, as of yet. There's Igor Fraga at 143.4. That's definitely just a cruising round lap, not a hot lap. But that means that this one lap is going to be the one that matters.
Yeah, absolutely right. All these drivers, of course, as you can see, on racing hard tyres. Here is Jonathan Wong then, the driver from Hong Kong, just going through the fast and flowing left hand. A bit of a slip and a slide, though. He's really pushing the limits here. And this is such an incredibly fast part of the lap. And then you have to put the anchors on, shift down quite a few gears into that hairpin. And this hairpin, Jimmy, in particular, it doesn't really look like much as we're looking at it at the moment, but it drops away from you. And you try to get on the power earlier, you're just going to spin up the wheels, aren't you?
Yeah, that's right. And Jonathan actually had a really, really good qualifying session. He qualified second in his group on the Friday, of course. Sorry, I got mixed up my days there. But he did very well. So he liked his car, liked his track. I think he just needs to try and get out there and get a better lap time in. So here comes Yamanaka. This will be his flying lap. Where does he go then? The Japanese driver crosses the line. He goes into a provisional second place at 131.0. Here's Patrick Blajan. Can he go better? No, he can't.
No.
At 131.1.
No, certainly can't. What about Jonathan Wong then? Well, he was a tenth of a second down in that first sector, just coming through the penultimate turn, and then the final corner. Koke Lopez improves to 4th place. Can Jonathan Wong do anything? Yes, he can. He goes up into 3rd position at the checkered flag. Great stuff from Jonathan Wong. What about Rubelar, though? He's not on a personal best lap time. It's a slow lap for him there, so it's not going to be an improvement, but he's not going to need to worry too much at the moment because he's provisional pole position. The man he's going to have to keep an eye on, though, is Igor Fraga, Jimmy, down there in 6th place. Can he improve on his
just
last
coming
lap?
round now, Tom, to finish this lap. Igor Fraga, Nations Cup champion. How will he do in this first qualifying session? He goes into 2nd place, so 130.9. Rubelar takes pole position.
Great stuff there from our top 6 competitors. A very short and sharp qualifying session for the Chilean driver. Nicolas Rubelar goes to the top of the timesheet at the end of that qualifying session. Brilliant, brilliant stuff from all involved. You can see Nicolas Rubelar there, the Chilean driver. Very impressive performance from him, and great stuff also from the reigning champion, Igor Fraga, right at the very end there, Jimmy, exactly when he needed to get that lap time in.
Yeah, definitely. And what we've seen, of course, from Nico, our pole sitter, is just that, again, how good he is over a single lap. Now, we said a couple of times in the broadcast yesterday that we've not really seen him shine in many races, so he did kind of put that to bed yesterday with his performance. Can he continue that? If he can, looking very good for the Chilean driver.
Yeah, absolutely right. Well, of course, we mentioned that Igor Fraga is the Nations Cup champion of 2018. Let's have a look at Monaco, the world final from last year.
It's about time to get this world final underway.
3, 2, 1, and we are away here at the FIA GT Championship World. Here we go then, guys. Igor Fraga will lead us off. 3, 2, 1, and away we go here at Monaco. Here comes Igor Fraga. Now, will he peel over to the left-hand side of the course? It's a bit late. No, goes round again. Wow, Hizal touching the barrier with the rear end of that Porsche. That's how you drift. He does best, leading from the front. Igor Fraga wins the first race of the FIA GT Championship.
Yamanaka looking to the outside. It's the last lap of race number 2, and Yamanaka going to the switchback here on Igor Fraga. They're going to be side by side now, heading up towards turn 6. Oh, a bit of contact. Fraga's up on the grass. Yamanaka to the outside. Oh, and they're bumping wheels once more.
The gap already 3 seconds, but heavy on the brakes. Throw it to the inside, and Fraga has gone too deep.
Yamanaka takes victory in race number 3.
Igor Fraga, our American champion.
Here comes Nick Hizal. Is it going to be 3 wide into the chicane? I think it is. Hizal down to the inside. Oh, all 3 going to emerge. They do. Fraga, watch for him. He has a title to chase down him.
Here is Igor Fraga looking to the right. No, he's going to push Nick Hizal.
Your first FIA GT champion. Here he comes across the line. He is world champion.
Yes, I'm back here on the desk with my weekend win Sorry, I'll think of a new name for the next one.
Please do.
So it's been really exciting. So what do we think of that top 6? Any kind of big surprises? Obviously, Rubelar is now called Mr. Hot Lap, apparently. I don't know whether that was someone just messing with me or that's actually his name.
Well, it seemed to work quite well, though, didn't it? He's qualified on pole position, so...
It's a hot lap.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he went 4 tenths faster than anybody else. We've seen him do that before, and I think it's a name well earned. So we'll call him that from now on, shall we? Give him a little stamp.
Mr. Hot Lap. Okay, we're going to have to come up with some, like, it's just giving everyone, like, ridiculous names. This is half of what we're doing here. So, of course, we saw Igor Fraga there, who obviously was the winner last year. Let's find out a little bit more about him so everyone knows exactly who they're going to be cheering for, if they so desire.
Yeah, the FIA GT Nations Cup champion from last year, Igor Fraga. You can see here he has some real-world racing experience in the F3 Brazil Light Championship. 2015 finished 3rd in his first ever season of competition there. 2017 he later finished overall inside. Later his first overall, you can see rather there, with 10 wins, 13 podiums over the course of 16 races. I don't know what the percentage is on that. I can't do the maths very quickly, but that is an incredible rate of success for Igor Fraga.
Yeah, he was very happy.
Rightly
very
so.
happy. I mean, I suppose it's that thing as well, because, like, manufacturer series, I mean, would it be fair to say that, like, whilst obviously it's great to win the manufacturer series, that perhaps the drivers are more inclined to want to win the Nations Cup just a little bit?
Yeah, maybe. Can you go any higher than that?
Go higher than that, but let's not freak Dobbs out.
Let's not try it out. But yeah, I'd agree. I mean, the Nations Cup, we would kind of say it's more of a selfish effort. It's a one-man show. So when you come away from manufacturers, when you're, okay, great, but my teammates helped me. But when it's the Nations Cup, when you can say, yep, that was all me. And it's a very good feeling, I think, yeah.
Stephen didn't mess it up for me. That's Stephen.
Stephen.
Who would you say is, like, one to watch out for you, then? Who would you like to pick out from the pack?
Difficult to say, really. You can't look past Giorgio Mangano as well. Italian from last year. Some very, very strong performances. You can see some statistics on screen here. But his representation of the final result, 10th place in the Nations Cup World Final in Monaco last year, that wasn't really representative at all of what he was able to do. He had some very, very strong performances at the start of the year. If you hark back to the first World Tour event at the Nürburgring, at the end of the year, though, the wheels kind of came off his wagon a little bit, and it kind of went a little bit wrong for him.
Yeah, because I do remember his name being touted about a lot last year, and it just didn't quite come through in the way that we thought. We're not very good at picking. It's like Antiques Roadshow. Not Antiques Roadshow, Bargain Hunt. That's the one where everyone loses.
Same thing, right?
Yeah. Who would be your pick?
I think I'd have to go with Coque Lopez, the Spaniard. I remember going back to him at Madrid and just how well he performed there. Set the world afire. There he is. I think he's very happy to be mentioned. There he is. But I don't know if you remember, the crowd whenever he made an overtake. And his performance at Madrid was fantastic, but again, just kind of tapered off a bit towards the end. So I think he still has a lot to bring to this.
I feel like we should pick someone from France, seeing as that we're in France. This gentleman right here, Florent Pagenet, I think he's definitely one to watch. What's kind of some of his fortes, do you think?
I'd say that he really excels in the kind of more the stranger races. I mean, we had the Repechage event in the Group B cars at it was a Salzburg ring. He did such a good job there. He did such a good job at that track. Sorry, Red Bull ring. I got them mixed up. In such an odd combination, he came out and came good. So I think maybe, again, we have a couple of odd things maybe coming up later on. He might be involved in that. We don't know. But watch out for Florian Pagenet.
Do you think it helps, like, being on home turf, or makes it worse?
A bit of pressure there, isn't there? That's the thing. Yeah, absolutely.
Isn't the Prime Minister's house not too far away from here? I think he's under some sort of pressure.
What was going on in Paris yesterday?
Don't bring that up. Now he's got it in his head. Why would you do that? Why don't we take a look at the track that they're going to be racing on to start with today?
Yeah,
let's talk us through.
Dragon Trail International Raceway then, as you can see, a fictional circuit inside Gran Turismo, but a track that's very well loved by its drivers. We're using the Gardens layout, the forward layout here. You can see 4.3 kilometres, some fast corners in that first sector. However, it really tightens up. Turns 13 and 14, those double apex 90-degree left-handers, are going to make it a very, very unique challenge for those drivers to contend with over the course of the race here for semi-final A. You can see a bit of elevation on the circuit as well, 27 metres from top to bottom. So that's going to be interesting to see how the drivers will fare over the course of it. Here, though, is the statistics for semi-final A. N300 cars for the drivers to compete in, so road-going machinery. 7 laps for them as well. Sports, medium, and hard and soft tyres as well, you can see. Tyre wear rate, though, times 45.
Ouch.
So they are really going to have to be careful to try and keep their tyres on the straight and narrow. You can see a tyre strategy here. Racing soft tyres, they'll only get you about 3 laps. Racing mediums, 4 laps. Racing hards, 5 laps. Jimmy, what would your strategy be?
I would not like to drive these tyres with 45 times tyre wear. I mean, I think you want to try and be on the fastest tyre at all times, which is a racing soft tyre, but making that last, as you say, more than 3 laps is going to be an absolute miracle. So if you're good in your tyres, you're really going to excel here, I think.
Now, before we kind of delve into the car category actually itself, so one of the things is that the racers actually have to like pick from a draft of what their car is going to be. So it is completely fair. No one has any sort of advantage other than luck, really. I quite like the fact it comes with a little egg. It's like a little toy from a fairground.
It's like one of those little child's toys, isn't it? It's fantastic. But the cars we are going to be using today, of course, is the N300 class. We'll get into that in a second. As you can see, stock cars, again, we have different drivetrains as well, and different ages. We have cars that are 30, 40 years old going up against modern machinery, of course, all balanced to a proper specification. So N400 cars, I think we're in today. Or the N500? What are we in?
N300 cars.
You know what? I think I should just not do this for now. We'll let Tom take it. But regardless, road cars, different ages, different conditions, different drivetrains, just a whole bunch of fun all in one little package.
And new car, yes, the Toyota Supra, which was introduced, so everyone actually had a chance to take a look at this fantastic thing, sold for an incredible sum of cash. There's some footage actually of people sitting near it. I think if I'd paid that much for a car, I wouldn't let anyone go near it.
It's a pre-production copy, isn't it? So it's the first one that ever came out, the Toyota Supra, and it's something like, I heard something like 2 million or something like that, and it's just sitting outside. There it is now on your screen.
What's so good about this one? What's great about it?
The first one.
Absolutely right. And you can actually drive this car in Category N on the Gran Turismo Sport video game at the moment. So whilst you can't drive it in the real world because it's not been released yet, you have got the opportunity on GT Sport to have a bit of a go. And it's a lot less expensive if you've been in
It is a lot less expensive, significantly so. So before we get into this first race, would you please be upstanding for the national anthem of France?
Well, absolutely fantastic to hear the national anthem of France. A round of applause for all of our competitors involved here tonight as well, this afternoon rather, I should say as well. So, semi-final A then, Jimmy, as we said, N300 class machinery. Lots of talent up and down the field as well, a variety of different cars. What are your quick predictions ahead of this race?
Oh, I think I would love to see one of the older cars do well. It's not really a prediction, more of a want. I always like seeing the old cars battle up against the new cars, so that's going to have my fandom for tonight, I think.
Well, absolutely. Semi-final A, lots of talent up and down the field. Patrick Blajan, Mick Hizal. Also, we've got Duval, Wilk in there as well, Yoshida-san and the like as well, up and down the order. Lots of different drivers, lots of depth of talent. It is going to be very, very exciting for this semi-final. 7 laps, as we said, at the Dragon Trail Garden Circuit. A track really, we'll quickly talk about very quickly there, Jimmy, that is a tale of two halves, really. Lots of fast and flowing corners, but some slow ones as well.
Yeah, you essentially have what is 3 big straights in this circuit, which are really going to suit the cars with a lot of horsepower. However, middle sector, very tight, very twisty, and if you are bad on tyre wear, have a car that doesn't really want to be very stable through the corners, then you're going to be caught up again. So, yeah, I think they all should balance out, and usually having this class of cars, it gives us an interesting race. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, absolutely right there, Jimmy. So let's see who is going to fare where over the course of this race, rather, I should say, the semi-final one. As we said, 7 laps for these drivers to contend with over the course of this Dragon Trail Speedway circuit. You can see Mick Gazal in sled number 4 there, Ryota Kokuban as well. He was pretty impressive yesterday in the Manufacturer Series. It's all to play for, no doubt, in the Nations Cup here this afternoon as well. And as you said, Jimmy, as well, a lot of depth of different cars. We've got Supras in there, we've got Lamborghini Countachs, we've also got NSX Type R. So let's get ready to go racing, shall we? So then, semi-final A for the Nations Cup for World Tour 1 here in Paris, about to get underway very, very shortly. You can see the depth of field and the depth of cars on the field as well. Nicolas Rubelar, the Chilean, starts from pole position in the Lamborghini Countach, with Tomoki Yamanaka alongside him on the front row of the grid in the Audi TT. Row 2, Patrick Blajan from Hungary. Very impressive last year, let's not forget. What about can he do? He's got Mick Gazal in the Ferrari 250 GT Berlinetta, brand new car to GT Sport as well. Ryota Kokuban in 5th position on the 3rd row of the grid in the Nissan Fair Lady, or 350Z to Europeans. Lofotsky as well, the Australian driver alongside him in the Honda NSX. Anthony Duval, France home man there, the E-Type Coupe for him in 7th place with the Alpine A110. Adam Wilk driving for Australia in 8th position. 9th place, Brooks from Canada in the Mazda RX-7. And in 10th position on the grid, it is Diogo Yoshida in the TVR Tuscan Speed 6. Florian Pangenet, we mentioned him earlier on, he's starting a bit further down the order in 11th place in the Nissan R32 Skyline. And Shirakawa in 12th place in the BMW Z8, Jimmy.
You know what, Tom? This is why I absolutely adore Gran Turismo. You can race a Jaguar E-Type versus the Mazda RX-7 and have them close together on track. But it'll be Nico Rubelar that leads us off in that beautiful-looking Lamborghini Countach. Yamanaka behind in the Audi TT. Different drivetrains there. We heard from the drivers that four-wheel drive drivetrains might struggle a little bit on tyres around here, so a strong start might be eaten up a bit earlier, a bit later on in the race. All the drivers now, last minute, take a breath, get ready as we go green for the Nations Cup semi-final A.
Yeah, the Lamborghini Countach, as you said there, Jimmy, kind of a car that aged really well over the years. You can see there the modern Audi TTS Coupe close behind. 7 laps of the Dragon Trail Garden Circuit as they come onto the start-finish straight. The Chilean driver, Nicolas Rubelar, leads the field ahead of Tomoki Yamanaka. Racing soft tyres for the top 3, medium tyres for Mick Gazal there in 4th position, and medium tyres from 7th down to 12th position as well. So different strategies going on for these drivers, ready to get semi-final A for the World Tour underway here in Paris. Nicolas Rubelar leads the field down towards the first corner for the first time of asking. Nobody surely is going to think about a dive down towards that first turn, but everybody is going to want to get through it very, very closely and very cleanly indeed there as well. Look at Mick Gazal there in 4th place. He's really already closing that gap to Patrick Blajan in 3rd position. So the car that Mick Gazal is driving is doing very, very well indeed. What about Tomoki Yamanaka there in 2nd place? He's not made much progress on Nicolas Rubelar, but he's kept his nose clean. These first couple of laps here, Jimmy, are going to be very crucial indeed.
Yeah, definitely a bit of a possession for the first lap as the gaps come down from the rolling start. What we can tell, though, from Mick Gazal's start is that Ferrari is very fast in straight lines. Actually putting him on the Supra at the moment. Not so quick in the corners, of course, but that's the price you pay for straight line speed. Rubelar leads us down to the hairpin for the first time. Yamanaka follows. Mick Gazal kind of half-heartedly looks to the inside of Patrick Blajan inside that very red-looking Toyota Supra, but not quite good enough. And behind him, Ryota Kokuban, our Asia-Oceania regional champion, in that very lovely Nissan 350Z that I'm not at all biased for, Tom. I do not own one or anything like that.
No, certainly not. Well, we're on board with Mick Gazal here in the Ferrari 250 GT. I was talking actually to Vincent Brigard earlier on, the French driver. We can see Mick Gazal there as well, the heartbeat monitor on the left-hand side of your screen as well, just demonstrating exactly how much he is concentrating and focusing at the moment. We saw Patrick Blajan, though, in front, Jimmy, going a little bit wide.
We're seeing right now the different cornering techniques of his car. Mick Gazal is sliding this Ferrari through the series of right-handers. Of course, that is taken into account in Gran Turismo Sport. The older cars, which you more commonly see a kind of four-wheel drift style of cornering, is how you have to drive them, and that's what you're seeing from Mick in front. So Patrick Blajan is nice and neat and tidy. In the background, his Gazal goes well, just touches the grass on the outside, slows him down, and through goes Ryota Kokuban up into 4th place. But now watch this Ferrari in a straight line. He looks to the right, says, "Oh, goodbye," and there goes knows the Ferrari! Look at the speed of that thing!
That is absolutely incredible. Mick Gazal doesn't need to worry about getting a slipstream. He's got some great straight line speed. Patrick Blajan in the slipstream of Tomoki Yamanaka in front as well is looking pretty quick here as well.
Worth noting as well that Mick is actually on the medium tyre compound as well, so not going to be quite as quick as the guys on the softs, but as long as he can hold up the guys behind on the soft tyres, he is making time for when he does come in and put those soft tyres on. Remember, 45 times tyre wear. So 1 lap on your tyres is 45 laps of tyre wear.
Oh, Gazal going a little bit wide there, Jimmy out of the right-hander. That is just going to show how hard the German driver is pushing here. As we said, medium compound of tyres, so he might be able to pull a bit of a blinder here in strategy. If he can go and switch over to the softs at the end of this race, he should have a bit of a pace advantage over the rest of the field, who will be presumably switching to the medium compound of tyres.
See how it all come down to the hairpin. The noses dip on these cars. They're on sport suspension, not racing suspension, so weight transfer is very important when trying to like these N300 machines around this course. Not, of course, made strictly for racing, more of a sporty kind of thing. Let's look up, though, to second, third and fourth. Again, Mick Gazal all over the back of Patrick Blajan and Yamanaka. I think Yamanaka right now is the one holding up the train, so to speak. At the front of the field, though, Rubelar in the Countach slowly pulling away. Blajan dives to the inside of Yamanaka and he makes the position stick. What a move by Blajan.
That is absolutely brilliant from the Hungarian driver. He finds his way through on lap 2 through the right-handed corners. Brilliant stuff from the Hungarian, and now Yamanaka-san is a bit of a sitting duck because Mick Gazal is on the right-hand side of him as we look at it, trying to find his way through, coming down towards these 90-degree left-handers. Does he have track position? Yes, he does, and now he has third position in the race as well. Brilliant driving from Mick Gazal in the Ferrari 250 here. Patrick Blajan getting a bit of a slide on, meanwhile, there in second place. Mick Gazal, though, meanwhile, he is driving like a man possessed at the moment. Elsewhere, Yamanaka-san is falling back down the order. So, Tomoki Yamanaka there in fourth position. Ryota Kokiban, his fellow countryman, trying to find his way through at turn number 1. It is brilliant racing here, and Yamanaka is trying to go all the way up the inside through that decreasing radius left-handed corner. But is Yamanaka going to hold on? It's very close indeed between the two.
Meanwhile, as well, Mick Gazal moves up into second position using the front of that Ferrari to a very good... well, to his advantage there, I should say. He's still on the medium tyre, so he's still got the soft tyre to come at this point. So he'll put in fairly soon, I think, get on that soft compounded tyre and see him back out there again, which puts him in very strong stead for the rest of the race. Of course, he's going to be holding up the rest of the guys. See how the nose just dives in that Ferrari as the German driver jumps on the brakes into that hairpin. Meanwhile, behind, it's everyone for himself. Kokiban and Yamanaka, countrymen, side by side. Look in the background, here comes Zakowski, our third place Nations Cup driver from last season. He drives past Kokiban. I don't think he expected to see him there.
No, certainly didn't. He's got the inside line for the next corner, has Lakowski as well. So that is a brilliant piece of opportunist driving for the Honda NSX driver. Now his next target will be Tomoki Yamanaka. Bit wide there in the background as well from Ryota Kokiban. He loses out to Anthony Duval. So it's going from bad to worse for Kokiban at the moment on lap 3 out of 7 here in semi-final A. This is going to be very, very exciting indeed. Don't forget the top 4 from semi-final A automatically progress through to the grand final, so they want to finish in the top 4 because then they will be in with a shout, potentially of making it to the world final later on this afternoon.
Here comes Zakowski, he wants another scout this time. It's Yamanaka, up the inside he goes, and the NSX comes up. He's gone a little bit too wide. The cutback from Yamanaka says, no you don't mate, but look at the run for the NSX on the exit there. He's out on the gravel, and Yamanaka says, you know what, I've had enough of this, I'm going to the pits.
So the first pit stop then is made. Mick Gazal comes in from the medium to the soft tyres. That's a bold strategy call there for Mick Gazal actually there, Jimmy, because he's going from mediums to soft. Everybody else around him going from softs to mediums generally. I think it's a bit bold really, because the tyre life expectancy is only about 3 or 4 laps or so.
We have 3 laps as our tyre life expectancy, so he should get to the end. I think what he's planning to do, because that car is super fast in a straight line. It's easier to defend than it is to attack when you're on a worn set of tyres. So I think he's going to try and get as far up the field as possible and then just try and park it on every apex and every corner and then just pull away on the straight. That's the strat I would have taken, I think. So this could be a really good call from Mick Gazal. It could be terrible. We'll find out very shortly.
Yeah, it's one of those time will tell things. What about Tomoki Yamanaka there in 8th position? He's made a pit stop. He's now on the medium compound of tyres until the end of this race. Shogo Yoshida, meanwhile, in 5th position, has been given a penalty. That's what the red flashing dot means. Meanwhile, Anthony Duval, Adam Wilk, and the Yamanaka driver going side by side. Adam Wilk up the inside of the Audi TT. He finds his way through into 8th position, and Duval fancies a piece of the pie as well. Duval nearly side by side, and now side by side with Yamanaka. He's through into 9th place, but can Yamanaka defend it into the following right-hander? They still run side by side. Bit of contact between them. This is absolutely brilliant racing, but Yamanaka holds off the charge of the Frenchman, and just for now, he is still in 9th position.
A little bit robust for my liking, I think, Tom. You can do that move without having any contact, but we'll see what the stewards have to say. But I must say how great it is to see an Audi TTS race a Jaguar E-Type. It's one of those little things you think about when you're a young boy, and here it is happening on your screen right now. The E-Type goes to the inside. Look at the grunt there from it's V12 in the E-Types, if I remember correctly. Just cruising on by in luxury and in style. Yamanaka, though, not going to quite make it. And meanwhile, Rubelar and Blazin come into the pit lane, but still, these guys go side by side. Duval's going to have the inside line, a bit of contact, and now here comes the grunt from the E-Type. He should easily pull ahead there of the Audi, and that is move made there for Duval.
Brilliant driving there from Anthony Duval on home soil here in Paris as well. Meanwhile, Mick Gazal hits the front of this race. Nicolas Rubelar comes out. Where has he come out, though? Has he come out into traffic? He's way going to be down the order, surely. He says he's in 2nd position, but I think that might not be correct. Let's have a little look and see where the drivers are going to be as it all begins to fan out. We ride on board with Tomoki Yamanaka there in 6th position. It looks like Rubelar has just been able to hold on to 2nd place for now. So yeah, Rubelar has managed to get out in 2nd position.
Basically what happened there is Hazal with the undercut managed to actually get out in front of Rubelar. He was about 2 seconds behind after the pit stop, and now he's on the faster compound of tyre in that Ferrari. So it's Ferrari 250 GT leading Lamborghini Countach, leading Toyota Supra, and here comes Duval up the inside from another postcode. A big hip and shoulder on the way back on the Australian driver, and now they're side by side coming up to the middle sector. I think Wilk's going to try and go back through. I think Duval might have lifted there actually by letting back through. Nice driving there from Duval, very gentlemanly.
I was going to say, I think Race Direction would have been on him like a ton of bricks if not, because they are very assertive handing out penalties, and that would be no exception here this afternoon as well. This is exactly what we saw in the Manufacturer Series yesterday, Jimmy. A great midfield scrap.
So you see, the stewards have seen that and they're thinking, okay, we'll have a look at that and see what they say. We'll come back to when we have a result. Meanwhile, we're on board with Pagenet, another driver on home floor in the Nissan GTR. He said that the four-wheel drive struggled a little bit round here, and it kind of shows he's down in the 9th position. But I want to just very quickly just go back to the front of the field, because Mick Hazal, if he can keep those tyres going to the end, this is his race. It was a masterful call, but bear in mind, when we get to lap 7, the final lap, his tyres are going to be absolutely toast. Again, if you've just joined us, you can see on your screen right there, 45 times tyre wear. You're reading that right, 45 times. So those tyres are going to go to jelly very soon.
They certainly are. Here comes Lukowski as well on Yamanaka. It's Honda versus Audi. Side by side they come down the start-finish straight, just mere inches between them. Lukowski has the inside line, he has track position. Yamanaka tries to hold the long way round, but surely it's going to be in vain. They're still running side by side. Lukowski now actually under investigation. Adam Brooks, meanwhile, has been given a warning for an incident that took place between them. This is very close in the midfield. Don't forget the top 4 in this race. 1st to 4th will progress automatically through to the grand final. Pagenet as well and Koki Butter going side by side through the chicanes, and a penalty there for Adam Wilk. He's going to lose out to Anthony Duval here. So Duval, the Frenchman on home soil, goes up into 4th position, and now, for at least, he is in the grand final.
He's very popular with the crowd here, of course. Frenchman going up to 4th, and here we go in the background, 3 wide. Yamanaka in the inside of it all. He's going to go up the inside of Wilk, throws him wide. Brooks goes, all right, I'll try and take advantage of that. He's now alongside, and now we're 2 by 2. Mazda RX-7 versus Audi RS in the background, and we have the Alpine and the NSXR there. So lots of different car manufacturers, and the Yamanaka's going to come out in front of it all, but they're still fighting in the background. Brooks is just about sitting on the apex there, keeping Wilk behind you, still side by side. He's just to my right, looks to the right-hand side of your screen. I think Wilk might emerge. No, Lukowski pulls across, holds the position.
And all the while, these guys have been squabbling there, Jimmy, for 5th position. It's allowed Anthony Duval to just stretch that gap, make a break in 4th position, and just have a bit more comfort sitting there, and a bit more of a bridge to the drivers behind.
Yeah, so this is looking good for Duval. And again, a reminder, the top 4 go through to the final of this event. The rest, I think, down to 10th place, go into the repechage. So all to play for here. At the moment, Kokibun and Yoshida both under investigation. We must say, Kokibun down in 11th place. That's not the race he would have wanted, Tom.
No, certainly not. Kokibun started strongly, has slipped back though, and as you can see as we ride on with Shiogo Yoshida, he's right behind Adam Wilk, but Wilk has got a penalty, and he'll be coming up to that penalty line very, very shortly. Meanwhile, Lukowski is side by side with Adam Brooks, down towards the first corner as we ride on board. RX-7 tries to hold the line round the outside, but they're going a little bit wide. They're scrubbing off speed. Lukowski has still got track position. How can he hold it though going into the next corner? Will he find his way through? Yes, he will. And look at Yoshida in the background as well on Adam Wilk, but Yoshida has been given a 2-second slowdown penalty there as well. So Wilk and Yoshida both have penalties. That is going to compromise their race very severely indeed.
Penalties are plenty at the back of the field. Stewards are not messing around today. If there's contact, they will jump in it, and they have done. So we're on board now with Brooks coming down to the hairpin for the last time. Yamanaka goes defensive against Lukowski. Brooks takes advantage in the Mazda RX-7, but Lukowski does not see Brooks coming, and the Brooks goes up the inside. He's not going to have the run. I don't think it's on the inside, so a tighter line for him to take. But now side by side, coming up to the middle section, Tom.
Very, very close indeed. These guys running from nose to tail for 5th and 7th position as well. Yamanaka there in 6th place. He would love to do a good job here. He'll still have to compete in the repechage race if it sits as it is, but these guys are going to have to be quite careful, because if they biff each other off, either three of them will be competing in this. Meanwhile, here comes Brooks. Here comes Yamanaka on the defensive. He's trying to defend from Lukowski as well. And Brooks is going to take advantage. He's going to try and do 2 in 1 here. That is absolutely incredible from Adam Brooks. Will he hold it? No, Yamanaka keeps the line around the outside as they run side by side coming up the hill. Meanwhile, Mick Hizal out of the final corner. A dominant performance, a great strategy from the German. And he takes victory in semi-final A. Mick Hizal is on top. A brilliant performance from him. Rubilar finishes in 2nd place, a quiet race for him right at the end. Blajan in 3rd. Duval is the last driver to automatically progress through to the semi-final in 4th place and 5th position to the line. It's so close between these drivers. Who is going to get 5th place? It is Lukowski right at the very end of that one. Yamanaka loses out, and so does Adam Brooks as well. And from 5th down to 10th place, they are going to have to compete, of course, in that repechage race. But what an absolutely fantastic way to start the Nations Cup here in Paris, Jimmy.
You know, I think some people dislike the M300 class and say maybe the different cars and different drivetrains aren't entirely fair on the drivers. But you know what? Show them that. That is some of the best racing, some of the best online racing you're going to see anywhere. And what can we say? Mick Hizal. I mean, that is just an absolute masterstroke. Such smooth driving there. You have to be that way in a car like that. We're going to pop into some replays, show the highest this race, and show you how it was won.
Yeah, absolutely. Semi-final A, where you can see on the opening lap here, it was Rubilar leading the way at this point, but this was Mick Hizal going a little bit wide on those medium tyres. It allowed Ryoto Kokibun to come through. We thought that Kokibun could be a genuine contender, but he soon started to slip backwards. The Nissan 350Z there losing out a bit in terms of tyre wear. Mick Hizal, meanwhile, keeping his nose clean, exactly what he needed to do. Meanwhile, Jimmy, this was Patrick Blajan on the attack in the opening stages as well.
Yeah, not usually a place to overtake there, but Patrick Blajan making it one and getting past up into 3rd place in that Supra. Here was Yamanaka and Kokibun, of course, Lukowski on the outside. I think caught Kokibun by a surprise there, and the Australian driver goes up the inside in the intersects and gets it done. And that was Kokibun's race, just kind of continually falling down the order, unfortunately, for the Japanese driver.
Yeah, meanwhile, this was on the final lap. This was the great scrap as well. Adam Brooks looked like he was going to try and take 2 drivers in the space of 2 corners as well. So close. Yamanaka trying to defend from Lukowski. He didn't expect Brooks to go sliding his way up the inside in the RX-7, and they ran side by side, going down to that final corner. I want to see what happened to Brooks. We don't go to it. We see Mick Hizal coming over the line, taking a very commanding victory in that race. Cool as a cucumber, as he always is. Barely any emotion from the German driver, but exactly what he needed to do. He is in that grand final already here this afternoon.
That's just so typical of Mick, isn't it? Just to be absolutely cool, and just seems like it was all a walk in the park for him. But that is what he needs to do. We see him under pressure a little bit before the race, but not showing it now. So we have our standings coming up on the screen for you now, guys. We can go over who finished where, and here they are. Just confirmation. Mick Hizal taking the win for the first race of the afternoon with Rubilar in 2nd. Patrick Blajan third and Dubauer in fourth. Importantly, Tom, those guys going through to the final.
Yeah, absolutely right there, Jimmy. As you said, 5th down to 10th place will compete in that repechage race. Sadly, Shirakawa and Yoshida, that is the end of their Nations Cup. We wave goodbye to the 2 Japanese drivers. Disappointment for both of them because they had some good pace, actually, over the course of that one. Such incredible performances up and down the field. Mick Hazal's performance was absolutely fantastic. As we know, he's so smooth behind the wheel of his car. So let's have a look and see just how smooth he has been over the course of this race, Jimmy, as well.
So here he is. It's actually a moment I thought he might have lost it. But you see, even in that moment there, he was still cool and collected. He knew that the Ferrari had the straight line speed, so he was more than happy to let Kochibun come up alongside. See the driver turned up to the right and go, no bother. There goes the Ferrari. But yeah, very quick car, that Ferrari in a straight line. Here is a bit of onboard shot from him. It just doesn't look like he's driving. He looks so chilled out, doesn't he?
Yeah, absolutely right there, Jimmy, as you say. Meanwhile, Mick Hazal actually said before this event, Igor Fraga is one of the fastest players in Gran Turismo in the world and is going to be my main rival for this competition. So he recognises that his rival, mainly last year in the World Cup, in the World Final rather, is going to be very, very important here this afternoon as well.
Great way to show his intentions. And now we're going to have Julia with an interview with our winner from race 1, Mick Hazal.
Mick, how are you doing after that?
Yeah, I'm feeling very happy right now because after the unlucky qualifying I had yesterday by being inside of the traffic and not being able to improve my time in the end, I was also kind of like scared a little bit because this car isn't in the game yet, so I had no idea whether or not this car is going to be good or not. But after the practice session we had today, yeah, the car looked pretty promising in the end. Yeah, the reason why I chose the mediums first was because the undercut was so huge. Like, even with that soft tires, it was kind of like, the pace was kind of like the same with newer medium tires. So that's why I chose the medium first and tried to kind of keep up the pace with Nicolas in first place in order to get my strategy to work.
So the tyre strategy certainly played off there, which is fantastic. So what do you think your strategy will be if you have to come up against Fraga in the next race?
Wow.
Is that too much to think about right now?
No, I haven't got a strategy yet, but well, let me think about it first and then.
That's a great answer to a question. But I mean, how do you feel? Because you were feeling you're a little bit down. We were reading some of your tweets earlier, and you didn't seem super happy. But you feel a bit better now, cheered up a bit.
Yeah, I feel better right now.
Well, that's good. Well, good luck in the next race. Congratulations. Give a big round of applause. Let's chuck it over to our commentators for the next race.
Brilliant, brilliant stuff from Mick Hazal there, Jimmy. And I tell you what, if he hasn't got a strategy, he doesn't need to worry, because if he does something like he did in race 1 in the final, he's all set.
I think we have our version of Kimi now, don't we? He just doesn't seem to give anything away. It just seems like it's absolutely natural for him, and great to see him do well again.
Yeah, absolutely right. Well, our focus now switches over to semi-final B and the second circuit we're going to be looking at, which is the Fuji Speedway in Japan. So let's have a little look at this circuit, which will be coming on screen behind us in a few moments' time. So the Fuji Speedway in Japan hosted the Formula 1 event there in 2007 and in 2008 as well, and is very famous, of course, for having Mount Fuji in its background and also unpredictable weather as well. 4.5 kilometers, as you can see. Different sectors in there. The final sector in particular, very, very tight, twisty. Patient rewards the brave through there. The first corner, meanwhile, a little bit faster and a bit more flowing, Jimmy.
Yes, definitely a big overtake opportunity down to the hairpin in the bottom there. Very long straight, great for slipstreaming, get up behind the car in the front, dive out the last second, lay it on the brakes, doesn't really want to make a move there. Well, the middle of the course, very big on tyre wear, so it's got to be nice and smooth.
Yeah, well, let's have a look at the screen then. N500 cars for the drivers competing in semi-final B. Sports medium, hard and soft tyres for the drivers to use. As you can see there, 42 times tyre wear over 7 laps. Again, it's going to be all about strategy for this one. Rolling start for the drivers to contend with, 4 times fuel consumption, but that doesn't come into play. All that we do know is the drivers, again, like in semi-final A, are going to have to use 2 types of tyres over the course of this race. And let's have a look now at that tyre strategy. You can see the racing soft tyres, like in semi-final A, about 3 laps there and thereabouts for those drivers. Meanwhile, racing mediums, 4 laps, racing hards, 5 laps, but you can see the pace differential there, crucial.
Now, we have seen, of course, these guys have the benefit of seeing how tyre strategy works in other races. They are different cars, of course, but you've seen, maybe going for the medium tyre, trying to keep up the pace, and then going for the soft tyre for a fast final sim. So they have that that advantage. We'll see if anyone uses it, though. Of course, different cars, different track might be a different story.
Yeah, absolutely right. Well, let's see what is going to happen with semi-final B. I'm very excited for this one. Predictions for it then, N500 cars. We saw N300, a little bit less powerful. These N500 machines, just that bit more grunt. Is that going to change anything dramatically, do we think?
Possibly. It also means you're going a lot faster when you're going down on the T1, so more brakes, more tyre wear, etc., etc. And of course, with the 42 times tyre wear, I love these multipliers, they're just absolutely brutal. The drivers are going to have to be really on that throttle pedal, nice and careful. Otherwise, it's going to be a tyre wear city.
Yeah, absolutely. Nations Cup champion from last year, Igor Fraga, competing in this one. But let's get ready then to go for semi-final B. As we had in semi-final A, 12 drivers competing. Top 4 positions in this one, as with last time, will go into that grand final here this afternoon. 5th down to 10th place will end up in the repechage. Igor Fraga starts from pole position in the Lamborghini Huracan. Alongside him, Jonathan Wong, the driver from Hong Kong, in the McLaren MP4-12C. Coque Lopez, a favourite for Jimmy here tonight, in 3rd position on that 2nd row of the grid. Just ahead of him, just behind him rather, is Giorgio Mangano, the Chevrolet Corvette, the Italian driver there. Adam Sassuolo from Great Britain in 5th position on the 3rd row of the grid in the Aston Martin. Alongside him is Adriano Carrazza, the Brazilian in the Lexus LC500. Then we've got Britain's Martin Grady. He'll be hoping for some luck, but he's starting down in 7th position, so it might be an uphill struggle. Daniel Holland from Australia in the Nissan GTR Nismo lines up in 8th place. Just behind him is Fabien Portilla, the Chilean driver in the Audi R8. Then we have Pierre Lenoir from France. Very quick on his day, but he's in the Porsche 911 and a bit further down the order. Lots of home support for him, though. Carlos Salazar there in 11th position for Portugal. And rounding up the grid is Yatlam Law from Hong Kong in the Mercedes-Benz McLaren SLR.
I do love that SLR. Really happy to see it be included in GT Sport. Got a lot to do, though, has Yatlam Law starting down the bottom of the field. So now we have our first insight into tyre strategy. Looks like everybody, bar Portilla and Lenoir, opting for the soft tyre at first. So that means Portilla and Lenoir really have it all to do in this first stint. It'll be Igor Fraga leading us away then for 7 laps here at the Fuji Speedway. Very slow, very meandering pace lap down to the line, but watch out for overtakes at the T1.
Yeah, absolutely right. So Igor Fraga then in the Lamborghini Huracan. Just behind him, Jonathan Wong. Going to be interesting to see what happens with these drivers down towards that first corner. It is quite a long run, though, Jimmy, down towards turn 1, so we may see a few moves being made. What do you reckon?
We'll see who has the grunt. Anyway, here we now come to the start-finish line. A last minute to take your breath and try and relax. Focus on T1. Remember your braking points. Everything will be okay. You can see Law there at the bottom left-hand corner concentrating. Fraga, our Nations Cup champion, is about to lead us away for 7 laps here at the Fuji for semi-final B, and away they go! Igor Fraga, of course, predictably leading the field down to T1, and now we have to see who has the grunt. It's all line astern as for now, as is the tradition with rolling starts, and already you're seeing Wong going to the outside to try and cover off Coque Lopez, who looks to the inside. Everyone nice and easy down in the background. I can see that's Portilla going very aggressive in the background. He's up the fence. Oh no! Oh no! Off he goes, fired off onto the corner there. I think he must have lost it on entry, Tom, but that is his race done and dusted straight away.
Fabien Portilla, that is an absolute disaster for him. And let's not forget, if he finishes in 11th or indeed 12th position, that's him out of the Nations Cup. So one of the drivers who we were very much looking forward to seeing how he would get on could potentially be out before it's gone. You can see a shake of the head there. His composure has completely gone. Meanwhile, Coque Lopez all over the back of Jonathan Wong like a bad rash. He's through the left-hander. They're picking up speed now, so let's see who will get the drive. Will Coque Lopez be able to do anything?
Now, I've been told, Tom, as we were before, the four-wheel drive machines are the ones that struggle the most. Now, here's a replay of what happened to Portilla. He gets on the... Oh, he just gets onto the grass. There's no way he can slow down. And I'm sorry, Portilla, but that's not the way the track goes, mate.
No, straight to the scene of the accident there for Fabien Portilla. You can see him there trying to regain his composure, trying to gain some time as they all go through that flip-flop chicane and try and hold on. Meanwhile, Fabien Portilla has actually been given a time penalty there to compound his woes. 5 seconds for colliding with another car. So he's not only ruined somebody else's race, he's now ruined his own. And here comes Daniel Holland, meanwhile, on Carrazza. Very aggressive from the Nissan GTR driver as we ride on board with the Brazilian. All sorts of opposite lock he's having to input into that car. You can see his heart there beating. He's down the inside of Dan Holland into the next right-hander, though. There's a bit of contact, bit of door handle bashing as they come onto that start-finish straight. it's very aggressive in the early stages here, isn't it?
You have to be. This is where the cars are at their closest on the first lap. Easiest to make up places here. Obviously on the other side as well, easiest to lose places here. In the background, I saw a car pulling out. I think it's a GT. It's Salazar there going past Martin Grady in the BMW M4. That Ford GT very fast in the straight line. He's got the inside as well. He might have a look at Holland on the inside. Holland sees him a bit too late, comes across in the massive, and wow, Carrazza there caught napping. Both Salazar and Holland go by. I think Carrazza was admiring the scenery, having a look at Mount Fuji, and didn't see these guys go up the inside.
Well, that was very impressive opportunism from the two drivers. Martin Grady we ride on board with now. We can see him to the left. Carrazza immediately fights back on Grady. He gets through. Dan Holland goes wide. They're side by side nearly between Carrazza and Dan Holland here. Grady trying to pick up the pieces where others are faltering. He's in the BMW. He's on the inside of the Brazilian. They're going through the right-hander. They're going to flick it left, though, very shortly indeed. Oh, very closely done. They go. Carrazza has the inside line. He holds firm. He holds position. Pierre Lenoir, though, says, thank you very much. I'll take a position off you there, Martin Grady. And now he is up into 8th place.
Yeah, big loser there, Martin Grady, down from 6th to 9th position. But now we have Saswillo coming behind as well. He's on the outside, not really a place to overtake here. He's going to look anyway at his countryman. And there goes Lenoir. He gets it all kinds of wrong. Punts Daniel Holland wide, who goes off the circuit, and now it's all mixed match through here. Looking at Lenoir in the background, he's trying to squeeze through. He's now up into 8th position and looking up the inside of Lenoir.
Well, throw the form book out the window because this has turned completely on its head. What an absolutely brilliant battle it is for position. The midfield proving to be very exciting indeed. Lenoir is up the inside of Yatlam Law into the left-hander in front. Dan Holland is now up the inside of Martin Grady, who gets shuffled wide. Adam Saswillo trying to pick up the pieces and hope to take advantage if others falter. Grady versus Holland, they go side by side through the final turn. Who will get better drive coming down this start-finish straight? That's the crucial thing. Saswillo gets an absolutely cracking exit out of there. And now he's in the slipstream of Martin Grady. Now he's alongside Dan Holland. He's going to try and pick off 2 at 1 here,
there he goes. Yeah, there he goes. Look at the power here from the DB11. Driving past Martin Grady. He can't do anything about it. He's just been had on both sides by Holland and Saswillo. And now we go down to T1. What are your brakes like, Martin Grady? Let's have a look. He's on the inside of Saswillo. No, not quite close enough. He needs to go in a bit deeper there. I think Saswillo just holds it round the outside. And in the meantime, Carrazza's finally broken free of this group. But meanwhile, in the background, we have Lenoir and Holland side by side. Lenoir back up into 8th place. So it's all going off, Tom. I'm having trouble keeping up here a little bit, mate.
I tell you what, Jimmy, as well, because the driver at the back of this now, Martin Grady, he's in 11th position. He won't want to go out. He'll be trying to do everything he can to keep himself at least with a chance of getting through to the final in that repechage race. But he's not doing anything to try and find his way through on Adam Saswillo into that left-hander. Saswillo, meanwhile, is trying to attack Dan Holland, who's in front. They go through the sweeping left-hander, and they're going to come up into that very slow final sector of the lap where it all seems to just cause chaos between these drivers.
The thing is, they're all doing this, they're all fighting. They're fighting to survive. A big reminder as Ryan Holland gets it wrong, goes into the back of Lenoir. Payback from the lap before, I think. But guess what? They both suffer. And now Dan Holland finds himself outside of the top 10, which means he is going home if he can't get that back. Lenoir there being squeezed in the Porsche. Dan has, to say he has his elbows out right now would be a massive understatement. He's given Lenoir all kinds of business trying to get through in the middle section. You can see our other commentators there from different parts of the world all commentating there, the French guys there. They're very happy to be here, of course, in Paris. But we go back to the action. Saswillo there now ahead of Grady. A reminder, if you've just tuned in, top 4 automatically through the final. 5th to 10th go through the repechage. Into the pits comes Coca Lopez, Mangalo and Salazar. And Lopez gets it wrong.
Oh, he does, yeah, you're absolutely right there, Jimmy. Igor Fraga is into the pits, the race leader now. So Jonathan Wong takes over at the front. Igor Fraga in the Lamborghini Huracan into the pit lane. Everybody's pitting on this lap. So, different compound of tyres going on though, Jimmy. Some going from softs to hard, some going from softs to mediums. This is very interesting. I'm not quite sure why they're putting the hard compound of tyres on. Let's see what's happening here.
Did Fraga go from soft to soft?
I'm just trying to think about that actually. I can't remember what compound of tyres he started.
He was on the soft tyres, so he would have gone soft to soft. So if that is how it is, then Fraga is going to be getting a penalty. We'll wait for that. We'll see what we get any confirmation on our end there. But that's how it looks on our screens right now. That could be absolute disaster there.
Well, Fraga did not change the tyres according to what I've just heard in my information in my ear there, Jimmy. So he's gone from soft, but we're just looking at the rules here. Must use at least 2 types of tyres in semi-final B. So Fraga could be shooting himself in the foot absolutely massively here. He's in 2nd position. He should hopefully take over at the front of this race when Jonathan Wong does come into the pit lane, but he could incur a penalty from the stewards here as well if he hasn't used both types of tyres.
This could be absolute disaster for Igor Fraga, but we'll get into that when we know exactly what is going on. Meanwhile, the battle for third, fourth and fifth still underway. Again, P4 and above get automatic qualification to the finals, and Mangano looks to the inside of Lopez. Lopez sits on the apex, nowhere to go for Mangano, and here they are. A great view from his 40T looking at the front left tyres. He goes up the inside of Mangano, takes the place nice and cleanly, covers him across to the left-hander. Salazar in that 40T, absolutely hustling around the Fuji circuit.
Brilliant stuff. Coque Lopez surely is going to be powerless to Salazar's pace here. You can see Lopez there really struggling with grip on the harder compound of tyres. Salazar darts to the inside of the final turn. They run side by side. Salazar using all of the curb and some that he shouldn't really be there as well. Meanwhile, Igor Fraga, he's in the pits again, Jimmy. This is absolute disaster for the Brazilian. He comes in. He's going on to the medium tyres, but if he didn't change his tyres, he'd have been given a 20-second penalty there as well. So he goes from softs over to mediums, but he's made 2 pit stops. Oh, I can't believe it.
Absolute disaster for our Nations Cup champion of last year. So now Igor Fraga, his goal is to try and finish 10th or above if he wants to go through to the Repechage. That means this man, Jonathan Wong, is in the lead, but look in the background. Giorgio Mangano, Lopez and Salazar are breathing down the neck of the driver from Hong Kong. And Salazar now, who has moved up into second position, and Lopez has gone from second to fourth there. So I think he had a bit of a bad run there coming down to the first corner. But of course, on that harder tyre, I think Salazar can win this race, Tom.
Yeah, absolutely right. Could be an inspired strategy call there for Carlos Salazar. This is what happened down towards the first corner. Lopez on the inside, Salazar on the outside. Lopez way too hard on the brakes there. Outbraked himself completely. Wasn't going to stop that in a month of Sundays. And loses 2 positions in the process as well.
He'd do a great job of stopping it before going off track though. If he got onto the grass, that would have compounded the issue. So here is Salazar now looking back, and look who else has joined the frame. Karatsa as well. Karatsa, more importantly, Tom, on the soft tyre. I can just see him now to the right of me. Very, very heavily built man, very strong man as well. I'm not quite sure how he fits into these seats. He barely does, actually. But you can see now putting on to the back a relatively low heart rate compared to what we're used to seeing here. About 130 BPMs in the bottom left there. And dives up the inside of Lopez. I don't think Lopez expected that. I certainly didn't. Karatsa up into fourth.
What I absolutely love there, the heartbeat monitor on the left-hand side actually went down as he was making that overtake, so he's fairly confident in what he's doing. Yeah, it's certainly right. I think you're right there, Jimmy. Out of the final corner, though, Coque Lopez comes. He's on those hard tyres. He is really beginning to struggle now, isn't he?
But he's just lost that position to the finals now. He's down to fifth again. So Karatsa, what's Karatsa doing?
I think there might have been a mix-up. Oh, hang on a second. So Karatsa goes into the pit lane there, but Karatsa has already made a pit stop. Why is he going from softs to mediums? He doesn't need to make another pit stop.
Maybe same issue as Fraga. We'll have to get clarification for that. Some of the drivers making these basic mistakes, and it's costing them dearly. Karatsa now outside of the top 10, where he looked oh so strong before for the victory. And in the meantime, again, while it's still going on, Jonathan Wong in that McLaren MP4-12C is just romping away. He has a lap and a bit to go. Now, his tyres are going to start going off. Now, here's our story of the race right now. Igor Fraga leading this race comfortably in a car that we thought would struggle around him for all drive, but he is up into 7th.
He was into 9th position a couple of laps ago, so he's really made some good ground there, Jimmy, in that Lamborghini Huracan. He's now all over the back of Martin Grady. Christmas come early, meanwhile, for Martin Grady. He will be in with a chance of going into that repechage as it stands at the moment. Pierre Lenoir and Dan Holland. The battle continues, the 2 white cars, and they are still going door handle to door handle. I don't think there's a lot of love between them here this afternoon because they've been very aggressive towards one another. And you can see how close they're getting here as well as we ride on board with Lenoir. Dan Holland holding that outside line and nothing he can do to stop the charge of Lenoir at this stage.
Round of applause there from the French attendees here today, and of course Lenoir on the, as you say, on the tyre advantage, so easily can get that done. Yet Lamour and that Mercedes SLR has come from last on the grid up to 5th position, so a great run from him. Only 1 place away from the potential spot, an automatic guaranteed spot in the final. But look who's behind, Igor Fraga, and Igor is going to waste absolutely no time in dispatching Martin Grady. Through he goes in the Lamborghini now, and now onto the tail of Yat Lam Law. Can he catch up to Coque Lopez on the hard tyre? I think it's going to be a bit of a big arch. You can just see him to the right of your picture now. But Fraga on a charge straight away to the right, using that traction from the four-wheel drive car built up alongside the SLR McLaren. But who has the front in a straight line? Looks neck and neck, Tom.
Yeah, it's very close. They're running side by side down the start-finish straight, coming on to the final lap. Igor Fraga, cool as a cucumber, slight look over to his right-hand side there, just making sure there's nobody else trying to attack him. They're still running side by side down towards the first corner. Igor Fraga has gone from 9th to 5th position in the space of 3 laps. That is incredible progress after a strategy mistake from the reigning Nations Cup world champion. It'll be a repechage position for him if he finishes as he is, but that is crucial for Igor Fraga. He could have been out of this competition otherwise.
Yeah, you're right there, Tom. And I'm just looking down the field. There goes Grady wide, and there goes Jacqueline Law through. Grady struggling, I think, on tyre wear, a little bit on those medium compounder tyre. Just go back to the back of the field. Fabian Portilla, of course, he went flying off the circuit on the first lap at T1, only a second behind Carrazza, and then only a couple of attempts behind Suswillo, who both have a tyre disadvantage over Chilean driver, so this might not be over for him. He might sneak into the repechage, but it's going to be a big ask with only half a lap here to go at Fuji.
Well, this is very, very close indeed. Jonathan Wong, meanwhile, he's done everything right, hasn't he, here this afternoon? He's kept his nose clean. And he's now 4.6 seconds ahead of the rest of the field coming through that final sector. He is at the moment. You can see Martin Grady has been given a penalty. Even if Pierre Lenoir gets ahead, that'll still be enough for him, fortunate to be in that repechage race. The last chance qualifying saloon for him later on this afternoon. So let's see what will happen. Jacqueline Law there, great performance from him though, finding his way through into 6th position. Meanwhile, Jonathan Wong, an absolutely brilliant performance from the McLaren driver. He's home and dry now, and he gets ready to come over the timing line. Jonathan Wong, a flash of the lights, and victory in semi-final B here at the Fuji Speedway. Carlos Salazar in the 4GT comes home in 2nd position. Mangano in 3rd. Coque Lopez, the last of the drivers, making it through to the grand final here this afternoon. Igor Fraga, best of the rest in 5th position. Jacqueline Law and Pierre Lenoir exchanging places over the line. Lenoir also getting the better of Martin Grady for 8th place there as well. Carrazza had an absolutely storming final lap. He went from 11th place up into 9th, so he goes through to the repechage there as well as Daniel Holland, the last driver to make it through into that last chance saloon in a few moments' time. But what a performance, and it just goes to show that sometimes all you've got to do is keep your nose clean there, Jimmy, not make too many mistakes, and you're in with a chance like Jonathan Wong did just then to get into that grand final and take victory.
Great commanding drive, almost a bit of an anonymous drive there from old Johnny, but he did a great job keeping it all together. Isn't it fantastic just to see this camaraderie here? They're all going out congratulating each other. Of course, not everyone got the result they wanted. Even a charging Igor Fraga couldn't quite get back into the top 4. He's got to be the story of the race.
Absolutely, Jimmy. I mean, I tell you what, going from 9th position up into 5th in the space of a few laps is incredible. But that strategy call, I mean, he's going to be ruining that now because he's got to go into that repechage race and try and find his way through into those top positions to make it through into that grand final, hasn't he?
I don't think it was so much a strategy call, more of a mistake. Like, I think the painful thing is when you're in those situations, you have no one else to blame but yourself.
Yeah, absolutely right. Well, anyway, that was a dramatic race. Let's look at some replays from semi-final B then, shall we? It all kicked off at the first corner. Fabian Portilla missing his braking point by a country mile, going straight into the gravel trap, and you can see him there just holding on. There you go, and you can hear the reaction of the crowd at that point as well. Fabian Portilla, sadly, ending up, and this was a bit of a biff between Pierre Lenoir and Daniel Holland in the opening stages. This was on lap number 2. No love lost between them. It all got very, very close. A bit too close for comfort for some in that middle sector over the course of that race.
Yeah, Salazar as well, showing why he deserves to be in the final, making some fantastic moves at the start in that Ford GT. Didn't really count him into this one. A bit of an outsider chance. He's done very well to get there. You see on this great move on Lopez, who understeers wide at the last corner, throws a GT to the inside, uses the grunt on exit, up into 3rd place.
Carlos Salazar there finishing in 2nd position, the Portuguese driver. Giorgio Mangano as well. Quiet race for the Corvette driver, but again, enough. He did exactly what he needed to do. Brilliant performance from him. Meanwhile, you can see the relief on the face of Jonathan Wong after that one. I mean, that was just as good as it gets, wasn't it?
Big sigh of relief there. You see the sweat he worked up during the race. You might not think this is a very physical thing, but when you're there concentrating that hard, making sure that every input is pinpoint perfect, it can be very tiring, and I think that he was just like, go get a drink now, can't I?
Absolutely, I would be as well.
Get a whiskey or something.
Was absolutely incredible. Igor Fraga, though, the talking point really of that race, wasn't he? The Nations Cup champion of 2018. An impressive performance for him to fight back through, but as we said, that strategy mistake costing him a potential victory. You can see him there doesn't look too disheartened with that result. He will be competing in that repechage race in a few moments' time. You can see him here, 20 years old he is, Nations Cup champion from last year. And those are some statistics for Igor Fraga, racing with Nissan in the Manufacturer Series, racing on his own here, of course, for Brazil in the Nations Cup. But what could have been, I think, is what he'll be asking himself.
Yeah, definitely. Let's have a look and see where it all went wrong there for Igor Fraga. Of course, talked about the pit stops before. Essentially, what happened, he comes into the pit lane, you see he goes from soft tyre and stays on the soft tyre. So maybe a missed button press, a missed click on the wheel there. And what that means is that, you see, he knows straight away he's made the mistake. And what that means, you have to change tyres every stop. So soft to medium, medium to soft, etc. And that was just it straight away, which is a real shame for him. It means next lap he has to come back in, put on a new set of tyres, basically do 2 pit stops instead of the 1. But still, I think coming in 5th position, after that, go show his talent, really, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely right. I mean, that was incredible. A brilliant performance from him. And if anything else, it gives us a great talking point just to see the fantastic performance of him. You can see a bit of a quote on your screen there. I always try to look forward. You don't have time to think much about the past, about what happened. So I just try to always look further, learn from my mistakes, and do even better.
And that was highlighted out there. He was just smiling, going, yep, okay, I made that mistake, but now I'm sure he's looking forward to the repechage race and seeing how he can get forward there.
Yeah, absolutely right there, Jimmy, as you say. So the repechage race will contain Igor Fraga. Not a name we were expecting to have in there, let's be honest. We were expecting him to just absolutely romp away with that one, but the Brazilian driver, fantastic performance from him. Let's have a look at some race standings then after semi-final B, shall we? Because it's all a bit confusing. See who's lining up where and see what happened in that race, just to give you a bit of a reminder. Jonathan Wong, Carlos Salazar, Giorgio Mangano and Koke Lopez are the drivers who make it through automatically into the grand final. In the repechage, Igor Fraga, Yatlam Law, Pierre Lenoir, Martin Grady, Adrian Carazza and Daniel Holland. Adam Sassuillo, Fabian Portilla, sadly, will go no further in the Nations Cup here this afternoon.
Yeah, Portilla unfortunately securing that on the first lap of the first corner. We saw a replay of that a bit earlier on. Just got on the grass in the braking zone, slid out wide. That's him 12th and that's him out.
Yeah, absolutely right. Well, I'm glad to say we'll now be going back over to Julia to have a bit of a word and find out more about Adam Sassuillo and Fabian Portilla.
My goodness, that was insane. Portilla, what happened there, Fra? What was going on? We need to find answers to all of these questions, and we shall. So, yes, before we head into our goer of a repechage race, these ones are always very, very exciting. We should talk a little bit more about some of the rivalries that are going on here today. We've got Mangano and Sassuillo, who are going to be going head-to-head.
Guy, but after this episode, my perspective of him is different.
European final blockade is about to go racing.
I had a good start. First 2 corners I really nailed.
And it's a good start, particularly from Sassuillo.
And I turned in a bit too early for a third corner.
So, the repechage races, if you don't know anything about them, obviously the guys have been talking about the fact that, you know, the drivers from 5 to 10 will then get bumped to the repechage race. Obviously, Igor Fraga, who was so far ahead, made a mistake changing those tyres, you know, was a shoo-in to go straight through to the final, is now going to have to, like, fight his way through that repechage race. He's definitely going to be one to be looking out for. And then actually out of that particular repechage race, only 4 out of the entire team of people who are going to be racing against each other, only 4 get through to the final. So it tends to get a little bit feisty. I think that's a bit of an understatement. This is what happens usually in the repechage races. Now, let's take a quick look at the timeline of the schedule just very quickly before I go into the next bit. So what's still to come? Of course, we have the repechage race. That's going to be coming up next. And then, of course, we will have our top set of drivers for 12 drivers for our final. And then we're going to be able to crown our Nations Cup winner. So 2 more races to go. Now, I was talking a little bit about Igor Fraga. He's one of the superstars, obviously the winner of the Nations Cup last year. Let's learn a little bit more about him.
To do this the best as I can, so one day achieving my dream.
Your first FIA GT champion!
My name is Igor Fraga. I'm 20 years old and I'm from Ipatinga, Brazil. My racing career started when I was really young, like around 3 years old. My dad decided to give me a PlayStation 2 and, you know, to introduce me into the motorsport. A few months later, he gave me my first racing card and I went to, you know, racing track to get my first license. and it was when everything started. I had 7 champion title in Japan. I was in 2008 the Asian karting champion. In 2017 I was the F3 champion, and then last year I went to USF 2000 and also the champion of Nations Cup. I like the speed, I like the emotion, the passion. From last year to this year, I think I will keep what I have been doing. I think something that changed, it probably the other is trying to beat me more than ever. So I think I will have very tough competitors here, but how I said, I will be just keep pushing, doing my best.
Well, there we are. A look at Igor Fraga, his journey to the top last year in the Nations Cup, Jimmy. Now, the focus switches to the repechage race. I tell you what, this is going to be door handle to door handle action pretty much all the way, I'm guessing. So just to remind you, the repechage race is what we call a last chance qualifier, effectively. So the drivers who finish from 5th to 10th in semi-final A and semi-final B, so 10 drivers in total, will be competing in this repechage race, and then the top 4 drivers will go through into the grand final.
Yeah, so another chance for those maybe had a bad race in race 1. The reason why you saw a big smile erupt onto my face as soon as you mentioned repechage is because historically these have been some of the most intense races that we have seen in this entire competition, and I have a feeling that today's is going to be no exception.
No, you're absolutely right there, Jimmy. Well, let's see who's made it into the grand final so far then, shall we, here this afternoon in Paris for the Nations Cup. It's been an incredible journey for these drivers so far, and here's who we have in. We have Mick Hazal, Jonathan Wong, Nicolas Rubelar and Carlos Salazar in the top 4 positions from semi-final A. Then we've got Patrick Blajan, Giorgio Mangano, Anthony Duval, and Koke Lopez. Apologies, that's in AB rather, I should say, from semi-final A and semi-final B. So those are the 8 drivers who have made it through so far. You can see a vacant 4 positions there from 9th down to 12th place, and that's what the repechage is going to help us decide. Those top 4 drivers in that race will make it through to that grand final.
So we'll move back now to our repechage. We actually have a couple of awesome sound bites for you guys, giving you some opinions on what some of our drivers expect from the repechage. Here is Adam Brooks, our Australian driver.
My strategy for the repechage race is just to try and keep as clean as I can, try to avoid contact, try to avoid the walls, and I'm expecting it to be a pretty nutty race, so I think if we can avoid those, we might have a chance to make the top 4.
Yes, I'm that I'm not going to race Sussuilo, and also the repechage is a race that there's going to be a lot of contacts, so I'm happy that I'm not in.
So I'll say, first of all, Canadian driver, not Australian driver, sorry. But yes, again, that rivalry between Sussuilo and Mangano that was born, of course, at Madrid last year, you can hear. I don't want to race him. He's not interested, is he?
No, it seems like there's a bit of a fierce rivalry going on between them. We've got a few of those in the FIA GTC. That one seems to be one that sort of bubbles up every now and then, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And of course, as hinted, there's a possibility for quite a bit of contact in this race. Of course, we kind of expect it, but we saw a lot of it again at Madrid with Mangano, I think, actually losing out originally on a what was quite a surefire position in the final at the European regional final because of contact of Sussuilo. So again, happy not to be there, and just one of the many rivalries that we've seen over the course of these last few months.
Well, absolutely. Repechage then, race on the way, and a bit of a unique time for us here as well, because we've got Group B machinery on dirt for the first time ever in the FIA Gran Turismo Championships. Let's have a look then, the Fisherman's Ranch track. This is a dirt track. It's on Group B cars. It's on dirt tyres. It's nearly 7 kilometres long, as you can see here as well. Various twists and turns. I think this is going to be carnage, Jimmy. I don't know about you.
Think Rallycross on steroids, and you have what this race is going to be. All our drivers at once on there. You can see so many corners on this circuit. It's only a 3-lap race, but it's still a massive, massive circuit, so it's going to be about 10 minutes or so. 145 meters of elevation change here, so our drivers are really going to have it all to do.
So, Group B machinery, just 3 laps around this Fisherman's Ranch circuit. Any longer and we'd still be here tomorrow. No tyre wear, no fuel consumption for them to deal with. Rolling start, as you can see. A weak slipstream doesn't really have much of an effect in these Group B cars, but it is an all-out sprint for those top 4 positions in these Group B machinery. Jimmy, talk us through these cars.
Yes, Group B cars. Something we have never seen at one of these events, I've said before. As you can see, essentially rally cars, rallycross style cars, lots of power, lots of aero, and again, because they're of course on the dirt, bit of a higher ride height, you'll see these cars go flying over jumps and sliding round corners, a completely different challenge that maybe that a lot of our drivers are used to. So all these drivers being thrown in at once and maybe not really coming out the same, who knows?
Well, absolutely, as you say there, Jimmy. So rally cars, Group B machinery, modern takes on the historical machines that were so famous in the WRC in the 1980s. So a big, unique challenge, a big difference from what they're used to in terms of circuit driving as well. Well, anyway, that said, let's have a look and see who Julia's found, because she's talking to a few people from the Manufacturers Series yesterday.
What do you mean who I found? It's only the winners of yesterday. Don't undersell it, the Aston Martin team. Guys, how are you feeling today?
I'm feeling exhausted and I'm enjoying the competition.
I mean, it's great when the pressure's off, right?
Yes.
Yes, it's much easier to watch this than it is to race.
Do you, when you watch other people race, do you get like nervous for them?
他の人のレースを見てるときに自分が緊張したりしますか？
とても緊張しますね。
Very nervous. Very nervous, actually.
Yeah, really. Oh. What would you say is kind of your, being that you're winners, what would be your advice to these guys here today on how to stay calm under pressure?
Oh, breathe. Just keep breathing, I guess. I don't know really what to say.
I mean, I would be worried if everyone stopped breathing, because it'd be a very short World Championship. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, keep it clean again. That's the main thing for us. No mistakes. I mean, we saw Igor make a silly mistake in the last one, and that could cost him big time overall in the end. So, yeah.
What's your strategy to stay calm in a race?
じゃあレース中に自分を落ち着かせるためにはどういったことをしていますか？
何も考えないようにしてますね。
I just don't think about anything.
That's amazing. There's one thing I will say is actually watching from the side of the stage, if you see these guys, it's the calmest face I've ever seen. I think if I was racing, there'd be a lot more swearing and shouting at other drivers, but you guys it takes practice, right, to be zen?
Yes, it does. I actually get more nervous playing at my house than I did here, so I was impressed with that. Yeah.
That's amazing. I'm very, very impressed by all your skills. I would not manage that. We're going to chuck it over because the Repechage race is ready to start. Let's go to Tom and Jimmy. Thanks, guys.
Great to hear from the Manufacturer Series winners yesterday, Aston Martin. Great to have Translator Sam back on as well, Jimmy.
I think one of the staples of this series is he just sneaks in and he's just there straight away. Love to see a bit of Translator Sam.
Absolutely. Well, Repechage race then. Group B cars, Fisherman's Ranch, dirt circuit, a world first in the FIA Gran Turismo Championships. It's time then to see who will make it through into the grand final ahead of the Nations Cup. Group B machinery at Fisherman's Ranch here for the FIA Gran Turismo Championships Nations Cup Repechage race. Who is going to end up where and who is going to end up in the barrier as well? Bukowski, the Australian driver in the Audi, ends up on pole position. Igor Fraga, fifth in semi-final B, starts in second position in the Toyota. Then we've got Tomoshi Yamanaka in third place in the Hyundai Genesis. Ahead of him, just behind him rather, is Yatlam Law in the Toyota GT86 as well. Then in fifth place on the third row of the grid, Adam Brooks from Canada. We heard from him a few moments ago in the Honda NSX. Alongside him, the Frenchman Pierre Lenoir, seventh in semi-final B for Pierre. Ryota Kokuban in the Nissan GTR Group B machine. And joining him on that row is Martin Grady from 8th place in semi-final B. Then 9th position on the grid we have Florian Pangenet, the French driver in the Ford Focus Group B machine, and Adriano Carrazza, the Brazilian. Different race for him last time around. Adam Wilk in 11th position, and on the final row and the final position of the grid, it is Daniel Holland in the Ford Mustang Group B machine. Jimmy, it's such a unique challenge, this Fisherman's Ranch circuit. It's such a step into the unknown as well. What is the strategy going to be?
The strategy, I think, is to try and get through this cleanly. I mean, guys, if you're sitting at home, turn off your phones, give this your entire focus, because this is going to be absolutely insane. We have an Audi Quattro S1 Group B car, 500 horsepower, turbocharged engine, all the turbo lag in the world, leading away of a comparatively younger Toyota behind. and Lukowski is going to lead us around a long circuit. This all about momentum, all about feeling what the car is doing underneath you. It's really going to test the skill of our drivers.
Well, race direction will be coming down on any drivers who do go into the other drivers, go into the barriers and use the wall perhaps to help themselves turn like a ton of bricks. So keep an eye out for penalties galore in this race. Anyway, it is time then to go racing. The Repechage race for World Tour 1 here in Paris is about to get underway. We are racing here at the Fisherman's Ranch circuit. World Rally on dirt then. Let's see what happens here in the FIA Gran Turismo Championships. Lukowski takes an early advantage as they go over the jump for the first time. We ride on board, meanwhile, with Yatlam Law there in fourth position. They're all keeping their noses fairly clean. Igor Fraga trying to get his elbows out very early doors as they come over the brow of the hill in towards the very, very fast left-hander that follows. This is very close racing indeed. Over the jump they go on the dirt. Absolutely fantastic driving from all of the top four to keep their noses clean so early on. Igor Fraga trying to find his way past Lukowski.
A completely different style of driving. You can see just how hard the Yatlam Law is having to work the wheel there in that Toyota 86 Group B car. Behind him, we have Andrew Brooks, just behind the Canadian driver, of course, not Australian. And you can just see them all trying different lines, seeing what works. Of course, these four-wheel drive machines, you can just pitch them into the corner, then recover. There you go, a fantastic four-wheel slide there from Lukowski. You're going to see a lot more of that as the race progresses. So Fraga in second place, Yamanaka in third, Law in fourth. You see just chatters of wastegate as the cars go past our camera. Right now, Brooks, of course, as a reminder, if you've just joined in, only the top four drivers are going to be going through into our grand final, so there's everything to play for. Almost selling to a crawl there.
In the wall.
I think Brooks just touched the wall there, got a bit of a hit from behind from Lenoir, and that slows up the rest of the field. So, here is Law coming down the hill. See there just shaking the rear end of that car. It's fantastic to see the first inclusion of Rally here actually in the finals. And there goes Karatsa chucking it up the inside of that Peugeot. Karatsa has come from the back of the grid, remember that. So Karatsa is coming through the field in that Peugeot, so he's doing very well so far. All over the jump, look at that. What a spectacle.
Oh, Yamanaka's getting all out of shape there. Through the left-hander we go, he's nearly into the wall. Yatlam Law and him side by side, contact between them. The Hong Kong driver and the Japanese driver going side by side. Yatlam Law with a big tail slide, but Yamanaka is back up the inside. He's into third position. Lukowski and Fraga meanwhile are battling for the race lead out in front as well. They're going side by side, and Fraga has taken over the race lead.
You've got to remember, of course, that these guys right now are going through. They're going through, so you need to just be relaxed right now. Don't fight too hard, of course. This race, the win of this race doesn't matter. It's just being in the top four. Although try telling that to Igor Fraga. He's got up into first place, past that beautiful-looking, boxy, iconic Audi Quattro S1. Fraga spending the inside there, of course. Now, I'd be lying if I said I knew this track, Tom. It's not a circuit that I'm familiar with, but there are lots of very fast sweeping corners broken up by hairpins. And of course, in these cars, the racing line's a bit different. Ideally, we want to try and pitch the car into an exit. The car is all pointing towards the exit, so you can get on the power, let the four-wheel drive do its work, and get a good corner exit.
Adrian Karatsa's made some more ground. He's gone ahead of Ryoto Kokuban. Pierre Lenoir, meanwhile, has gotten the better of Adam Brooks. They're side by side, the Canadian and the Frenchman. Brooks gets it back, though, through the next turn. This is brilliant racing as they come to complete the first lap of 3 here in the Repechage race. Pierre Lenoir, nothing he can do in that Mitsubishi at the moment to overhaul the Honda NSX machine. And that is one of the beautiful things about Gran Turismo, Jimmy, is that you can have a Honda NSX Group B machine. You'd never have that in the real world of motorsport.
Yeah, I was going to say, I've never seen an NSX rally car in my life. But here they are. You can see the groove on the inside there. The driver's using that, trying to put a tyre down into the groove, help bring them round the corner, give them better cornering speed. Now we're down at the bottom of Lenoir. You see off the camera. Look how soft the suspension is. Hits into the ground hard. Suspension moves back up again. And the concentration on the face of the Frenchman here. Lots of home support from the French crowd for the French drivers. And right now, still with a very good chance of moving up into the final if there's a mistake up ahead.
Well, let's see what will happen. We're riding on board with Pierre Lenoir, the fast-flying Frenchman. Quite literally in this race as he's going over so many jumps. He's up the inside of Adrian Brooks. Can he find his Adam Brooks rather? Can he find his way through into the right-hander? They're still running side by side. Brooks has the line through the next left-handed turn. They're still running nose to tail almost. They're doing a great job not to run into one another as well. All the while they're battling. It's allowing Will to close up. Lenoir's on the inside. He's going to go around the outside through the air as well. He hits the wall on the outside, but he holds position. What an absolutely brilliant piece of driving. Meanwhile, Yamanaka and Law for the final podium position in this race are still going. No, Yamanaka's in the wall. Yamanaka hits the wall, and Brooks Constantine is inside of Lenoir, and also Brooks. Unbelievable racing there. Adam Brooks takes advantage. He's through into 4th place. Wilk on the outside now in the Subaru as well. Such brilliant close racing here in the Repechage.
So in that 30 seconds or so, we saw a first. We saw the world's first Gran Turismo aerial overtake, or live aerial overtake, I should say. Fantastic move there by Lenoir, of course, now still back into 6th. Brooks, of course, being the real benefactor of all of that. Yamanaka being shuffled down the order into 7th position, and now Brooks, the Canadian driver, makes his way up to 4th. Wilk looks up the inside, very aggressive, slides the Subaru into the corner, uses the forward drive next to try and put ahead. Wilk ahead, but Brooks has got the run, and now they're side by side. Next corner to right hand, so Brooks will come back in. Look at Lenoir, he's looking every which way to try and get past that Subaru, but no way to do it so far.
Adrian Carrazza's race has gone from bad to worse, sadly. He was given a penalty, so he's been dropping down the order, left, right and centre. Meanwhile, Florian Pangenet as well has had an absolute shocker, riding the ball with Lenoir. Any more air miles and he'll be upgraded to a gold status, won't he? That was absolutely fantastic. Wilk down the inside of Adam Brooks as well. They're still side by side. They're in the wall. Brooks nearly hits the wall on the outside. Wilk fights it back. 3 wide on the dirt here at Fisherman's Ranch. Wilk on the inside. Lenoir gets hung out to dry, and it's Wilk who holds on for position. Brooks though goes on the inside.
No,
Wilk's in the wall.
He's off into the rough stuff. That's going to cost him a lot of time, and just like that, Wilk goes down from 5th to 7th place, just like that. And you still have Brooks. There he is ahead. He's got a little bit of breathing room. Yamanaka's come back through into 5th place in that Honda Genesis, and Wilk goes very wide there. Brooks goes wide, sorry. In comes Yamanaka. In comes Lenoir. In comes Wilk. They're all throwing the car side by side. Yamanaka back up into 4th place. Wilk will not let him have it. He now has the inside for this left-hander in the wall. This is rough racing, Tom, but this is why the Repechage is just such good viewing.
Absolutely, on to the final lap of racing here at Fisherman's Ranch in the Repechage. A reminder, the top 4 make it through, so the first finisher in this little battle will be going through to the grand final. At the moment, it's Tomoki Yamanaka who's going to make the position, but what can Wilk? What about Lenoir, Brooks, Kokuban also in the mix there as well? What can they do to try and stop the charge? They get air, and also into the left-hander they go, which follows nearly 3 wide again. Here comes Lenoir. He goes through into 4th place. What a move by the Frenchman.
We have 6 cars now in contention, and almost 7 cars in contention for this 4th place. There goes Wilk now. Look at the drive the Australian has on the left-hand side of your screen. Though he's on the outside. Kokuban, where's he come from? Where's Kokuban come from? He almost took up to 5th place. Slow exit though, and back down to 7th position. Now Lenoir needs to just do his best to look forward, go as fast as possible. Let these guys fight behind for 5th so you can pull away. But it seems that everyone's in the same boat. They all know if they get into that final 4th position, they'll be going through the final. Now look, here's Lenoir. Look at the gap he's got now, Tom. He's pulling away.
Yeah, he's doing exactly what he's doing, but he's gone wide a little bit there through the corner. Is that going to hold him up? Look at Dan Holland as well, also trying to make some moves in 8th position. There's still half a lap to go, boys. It's certainly not over. Kokuban goes into the wall. Ryota Kokuban is going to be out then. Disaster for the Japanese driver. And Yamanaka also going wide and losing ground. Brady goes into the side of Yamanaka. Carrazza, Pangenet also in and amongst the mix there. Absolute drama on the final lap here in the Repechage race. Such fantastic, spectacular, action-packed racing.
Yes, and what can you expect from this one? It's been absolutely action-packed all the way. There's still about half a lap to go. Here currently is your last person going through to the fastest event. Now Wilk is behind. He is gaining only 1 second in it. So far it seems certain that Fraga, Lutkoski and Laura are going to go through, but it's that 4th place. That's the one that is most coveted.
Such brilliant racing, great stuff from Pierre Lenoir. He's got clear track in front of him now, and he just needs to try and guide it home, keep that gap to Adam Wilk, who we're riding on board with at a stable number, and he'll hopefully be into the grand final. This is such fantastic racing from all of these drivers involved. They go over the air. Pierre Lenoir will get upgraded to gold status if he stays as it is. This is brilliant stuff from Lenoir. He timed his move to perfection there, Jimmy, and he's done a great job to keep that gap at a constant.
That was, I think, probably one of the most intense laps I've seen at all here at the Gran Turismo live events. This time, of course, from Paris. We're in the last Repechage race. We're on the last lap here of said race. Lenoir in fourth. He will be going through to the finals. But of course, as we approach the finish of the Repechage race, it will be Igor Fraga who's head of the field. 6-second gap he has now. Here is the Brazilian driver. He comes across the line and goes into the final. Igor Fraga wins one of the most exciting races I've ever seen. Lukowski comes second in that fantastic looking Audi Quattro. Yatna Moore third, but more importantly, the home crowd get on their feet. Pierre Lenoir comes home in fourth position. What a race that was!
That was amazing, absolutely amazing. The Repechage was sure to deliver door handle to door handle action, and lo and behold, it did as well. You can hear the applause, you can see the delight on the fans down here as well. Pierre Lenoir, the hometown boy from France, makes it through to the grand final here at the World Tour events in Paris. Absolutely amazing, just amazing, Jimmy.
Every time, man. Every time these Repechage races just give us this, I don't know, this buzzing race. There was not a moment you could look away from that at all. If you looked away from that, you were going to miss half the racing. And right now, then we're going around just saying a big thank you to everyone. But again, Igor Fraga, what can we say? You know, he came from a race where I think, you know, he was very disappointed. He said, always looking forward. He did that now.
Absolutely.
6-second win.
Yeah, that was incredible from Igor Fraga, showing that he's not only the master on tarmac, he can also be the master on dirt as well. I've just heard from race direction in my ear that Daniel Holland has actually been given a 2-second penalty at the end of that race there. So disappointment for Daniel Holland, the Australian driver. A bit of a race to forget there for him.
Yeah, I was hearing before that Dan Holland was actually a bit of a specialist on this rally stuff, but not really the race for him, it seems. So anyway, guys, we're going to try and get something to be better. I don't envy the editing guy. No, I don't have whatsoever. So here was Brooks there, just catching the wall and going into the back of the cars in front. This is where he kind of lost touch with the rest of the field. Here was Lenoir and Brooks, and of course Yamanaka involved as well. And this would prove to be the scrap they'd be going for the rest of the race.
Yeah, you can see here Adam Brooks and Yamanaka also involved there as well, side by side between Brooks and Lenoir at that point, and Brooks taking great advantage. Igor Fraga, though, what a race. What an absolutely commanding win for him on the dirt. Lukowski as well. Well, a quiet race for him by comparison, but exactly what he needed to do. And Pierre Lenoir there on the team radio. You can hear his delight.
Look at that.
Well, if you need to know what it means to him, that it sums it up absolutely perfectly, doesn't it?
Absolutely fantastic that was. And you can see they're just having, I think, a well-deserved drink right now. I think he's going to have the whole bottle, I think, after that.
I would be too.
But, you know, how do you go fast? How do you go fast on this circuit? And the important is the four-wheel drift, the four-wheel power side you see oh so many times in rallying. Of course, these cars are four-wheel drive. And we have some highlights for you now on how to do it. So here is Brooks right now. You can see they get the car turned in very, very early, almost a tandem on the way in. Now, at this point, you're full power. You see the right-hand side there, the throttle, full power to get out of the corner, making sure you're being carried through. All about carrying momentum, but at the same time, not going too wide, otherwise you might end up clipping the wall.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got to get on the power and go all the way, all the way, all the way, all the way, Jimmy.
Yes, you do. And you can see these guys are really soaring at the wheels. That's what it's about. You're constantly making very, very small adjustments to get things right there. You can hear in the background some more cheering. Oh, I can't
believe the scenes over there.
They're getting rowdy up here,
They
Tom.
certainly are. I was going to say, we haven't even had the final yet. Let's wait until the party tonight, at least, shall we? Because that's going to be an absolute cracker, if nothing else. But the final, then, we now have our 12 finalists for the Nations Cup here in World Tour 1 in Paris. Let's see the final result of that Repechage race then. Igor Fraga, Lukowski, Law, Lenoir make it through. Adam Wilk, Adam Brooks missing out, sadly, as well as Dan Holland, who had that 2-second penalty, which didn't change the result. Then Yamanaka Karatsa, who had a disappointing race there, really. He was looking pretty strong in the early stages. Martin Grady, Ryoto Kokibun, and Florian Pangade as well, right down the back end of the order. So delight for one Frenchman, disappointment for the other.
Yeah, exactly. And let's see what that meant to Igor Fraga's family. Bear in mind that a minute ago, he wasn't going through the final. Here is Igor Fraga on screen. Let's see if we can get there it is. See, they're happy to see Igor go through the final. We didn't... That's not Igor Fraga.
I can't get over that. What was going on there? Pierre Lenoir, goodness me.
I promise,
what a boy.
I promise that we're organised here. I promise.
Goodness me. Well, I tell you what, let's go back to Julia. She's going to see what's happening on social media at the moment.
So I asked a question much earlier on today, whether basically you had any top tips for drivers who've, maybe not had a great race, how they can brush that off and come out the other side. So I'm just going to read a few of them. So we've got Zed Suisas. It says the Gran Turismo, keeping it clean, relaxed and focusing on consistency, the results will come naturally. And then we had 20 laps around the Nürburgring while crying to the weekend, says Gunpig, apparently. Stanner20 says, try and learn from it. Fine margins on the GT Sport for winning and losing. And drive it like you stole it, pedal to the metal. I mean, I think that's a good rule just generally for life, really, apart from when you're in a designated area where it's you need to keep to a certain speed, yes. Why don't we take a quick look at it? We actually have a little bit of a timeline and results of what's going to be happening today. Take a quick look at that. Oh, no, sorry, I beg your pardon. We have a tweet from Coque Lopez, who's actually obviously one of our drivers who's in the final for today. And he's very excited to be involved, obviously, in GT Sport. He has been kind of one to watch. Like last year, did sort of, popped his head a little bit above the parapet, but didn't kind of go all the way through. And so it's very exciting for him now to be in the final. We're really excited to see him here. And he's just very happy. He's very happy, chappy. So in terms of the next race, so obviously, we've had our semi-final A, we've had our semi-final B, we've had the repechage. I promised you it would be very exciting, and it's certainly delivered on that. But now it is time for the final race, where we are going to find out who is our Nations Cup winner. We have our 12 drivers. They are ready. They are waiting to go. I mean, it would have been a real shame if Igor Fraga hadn't made it through, but as he showed in that repechage race, he deserves to be in that final through and through. Wouldn't you say? Yeah? That's a terrible mistake he made there. That should not have punished him fully. So why don't we throw it over to Tom and Jimmy, and we will get this Nations Cup final underway.
Cheers, Julia. Thank you very much. Welcome to the commentary position. And I think we've just about got our breath back from that one, Jimmy.
I think so. We're just about there. I've had a bit of hyperventilating off stream, and now,
yeah,
now I'm good again.
So our focus then does shift to final time here for the FIA Gran Turismo Championships. Then let's have a look at the lineup for this final race. Mick Izal, Jonathan Wong, Nicolas Rubilar, Carlos Salazar, Patrick Blajan, Giorgio Mangano, Anthony Duval, Coque Lopez, Igor Fraga, Lakowski, then also Yatlam Law, Pierre Lenoir in the mix. 12 drivers on the grid, Jimmy. X24 team machines, Autopolis International Racing Circuit. 3 different tyre compounds that are going to be used. What more could you need?
Now, I hate to keep going on about the final last year, of course, but we saw last year Fraga started very low down in the X24 team. It's a car that he likes, so definitely one to watch in this race. Now, for those of you wondering what happened in that semi-final B race, I think us included, we have a little bit of a soundbite here from Igor to find out what happened in that second race.
Yeah, I was trying to just cancel the fueling, so I was pressing the X button, but I forget that first it came the select of tires, so I accidentally pressed the X and enter the same tire again, so that was a mistake. So it was a little unfortunate, but still was able to recover, got to the repechage, so it was okay. Let's go for the final race.
Well, Igor Fraga then, he is full of confidence going into this final now, surely, after that performance.
As you expect, really. Again, we had the quote on screen earlier, just looking forward and looked forward very well, and now he's down in 9th, got a lot to do, but again, always one to watch, as everyone in this final. Everyone here right now, they deserve to be here. Fantastic field of drivers.
Yeah, absolutely right. So then the final race is going to be very exciting. X2014 competition machines there, Jimmy. New for this weekend as well. Drivers had a bit of a chance to get themselves up to speed. They're going to be very exciting. Just very briefly, quick overview of what these cars are all about.
Very quick. I said we'll leave that for now. What we'll do instead is we'll have a look at the track that we're going to be driving at today and give you our opinions on what we thought of it.
Just drove Autopolis. What a great track.
I think this track is very difficult.
Difficult track, quite difficult.
Hard track.
Uphill, downhill, fast corners, slow corners, medium corners.
Lots of elevation changes, slower corners, low traction, spinning up the rear tyre.
Right and left. Curve are very fast. Autopolis is really unique. You need a lot of flow with the car. You really need to find a good balance through the corners.
Very kind of old school track.
Yeah, old school.
Old school.
Mixed corners, there's lots of sections that you would need to think in advance what's coming next.
We have two risky corners. The first one is blind. You have to think and believe on you and your car.
If you make that mistake, you are just on the grass.
Balance the car, place the car exactly right, so like maintain speed onto the straights.
The tire wear will be an issue in this racetrack.
I did my best, but you were better. With a little speed, but more focus.
It was quite hard to get me from the simulator because it was a lot of fun to ride.
So then, let's take a look at this Autopolis International Racing course then, shall we? You can see 18 corners in total, 16 laps for these drivers, racing hard, medium and soft tyres available for them to use, and they must use all three compounds. Tyre wear rate of times 16, fuel consumption rate of times 3 there as well. And you can see the tyre strategy here there, Jimmy.
The tyre strategy, as we've seen many times before, definitely going to be a big factor in this race. Racing soft's only set to last only about 4 laps, the racing hard doing 7. So you've got to use all the compounds here. So the right thing to do, or the best strategy, will be using the compounds at the right time.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not just tyre strategy, though. Fuel strategy has got a certain element to play in this one, Jimmy. I'm looking forward to seeing what these guys are going to be doing. Let's have a look at fuel strategy going into this race. So you can see the Red Bull X 2014s have a capacity tank of 100 litres. Get about 11 laps of fuel with a full tank there. You can see refuelling takes about 3 litres per second. A refuel of around 35 litres is needed during a pit stop during the race as well. So they will be having to make sure that they've got enough fuel and don't run out like a certain Igor Fraga did last year.
No, and not. And of course, for this, we're going to be going back to our beloved X 2014 Red Bull. A little bit different, though, from the one you might be used to. It belongs to the Group X category, as you can see there. Just a little bit different because it has a different engine. V12 power plant powering this very insane-looking prototype around. Different rear wing as well. A bit flatter than we're used to. It used to be curved up at the back, meaning less downforce. So more power, less downforce. Sounds good.
That sounds like chaos, if you ask me. Goodness me, it's going to be a very, very exciting one, this one, the Red Bull X 2014. The Autopolis circuit, of course, brand new to Gran Turismo Sport as well. Actually built in the mid-90s, believe it or not, to host a Formula One event, but sadly the organiser of the event went bankrupt. Anyway, more on that later. Let's get the final then underway very, very shortly. The grand final for the FIA Gran Turismo Championships World Tour 1 event here in Paris is about to get underway, and this is going to be a very, very exciting battle around the brand new Autopolis circuit. Mick Hazal starts from pole position, the German driver. Alongside him is Jonathan Wong, finished first in semi-final B. Third place on the second row of the grid, Nicolas Rubilar, the Chilean driver, second in semi-final A. Alongside him is Carlos Salazar, the Portuguese driver, second in semi-final B. Third row of the grid, Patrick Blajan from Hungary. Great to see a return to form for him. And alongside Blajan is Giorgio Mangano, third place finisher from that second semi-final event. Anthony Duval, fourth place in semi-final A. Lots of support from the Frenchman here tonight. Coque Lopez in eighth position. The Spaniard hoping for a good result. Then Igor Fraga, the reigning Nations Cup champion, in ninth position. The Brazilian, a lot of work to do from there. Bukowski, the Australian, in 10th place. Let's see what he can do. Can he turn his fortunes around? Yatlan Law in 11th position and 12th position. And last on the grid is Pierre Lenoir, fourth place in that Repechage race. Can he have a good performance here this afternoon, Jimmy?
I think the French crowd here very much hope so. But anyway, Mick Hazal will lead us off rolling. A bit of a long formation to the line here. Gives the drivers a chance to chill out a little bit. Think of what the race is ahead of them. Think of strategy, think of fuel, think of braking points. Take that last deep breath and get ready for what will be the first final from the first World Tour of this year at Paris. There'll be Hizal, Wong, Rublar and Salazar all opting to start on the soft tyre with Blajan on the hard. Interestingly, we have Fraga and Laskovski on the medium tyre, so interesting to see how that strategy will play out.
Well, Mick Hizal then comes around the penultimate corner, a very long sweeping right-hander. Jonathan Wong there in second position through the left-handed kink and on to the start, finish straight here at Autopolis for the first time of 16. Strategy is going to be very, very important, but the Nations Cup World Final event here in Paris is about to get underway, and Mick Hizal leads the field down towards the first corner. World Tour 1 in Paris. Grand final is go. Let's see who holds the advantage as we come down towards that first corner. Mick Hizal holds on. Are there any moves going to be made? Igor Fraga immediately on the attack, trying to get the better of Koke Lopez, but he doesn't manage to make any moves going off through there. So it is still Hizal from Wong, from Rublar, from Salazar, from Blajan inside the top 5. No aggressive moves being made in the opening couple of corners there, Jimmy, but still intentions very much being signalled.
Fraga down to 11th place there. He's dropped a couple of positions off the line, not quite sure what happened, but you're seeing all the soft runs starting to pull away from 5th position Patrick Blajan on the hard tyre. Now Mangano behind him soft needs to get past Blajan as fast as possible, otherwise he's going to be held up. You can see it in the background right now. So these guys at the front of the grid, they need to be very, very quick on using their soft tyre. Try not to fight too much and try and gain as much time as possible. So now watch the traction of Mangano compared to Blajan here. Blajan actually doing a very good job on the throttle, keeping those hard tyres gripping. And now we go downhill, my favourite corner of the circuit, a sweeping right-hander, throw the car in, touch the curb on the right and then get the car tucked in with this very tricky set of rights and lefts. It's a combination of follow and brake grip here, drag the brake on the inside, hug the car to the right, and Mick Hizal now making his way uphill, coming around already almost to finish his first lap.
Yeah, through the long sweeping left-hander, this final part of the lap is very spectacular indeed, almost 180-degree radius final corner there. Mick Hizal doing a great job of pulling out an advantage over Jonathan Wong. Just to remind you, by the way, the top finisher, the first place finisher in this World Tour event here in Paris will automatically qualify for the World Final in November. So let's wait and see what will happen with these drivers. It's going to be very, very interesting indeed. Giorgio Mangano there in 5th position, holding on very nicely so far is the Italian. Let's wait and see what will happen. It's all going to be about strategy, this one. Who can overtake where, who's got the pace at different points over the course of the race as well.
Mangano is now past Blajan, so he now has to try and get onto the back of this group of cars in front at the moment. So now we have all the soft runners running together. Hizal, Wong, Salazar and Mangano. Here's Igor Fraga making his way through the field at the moment, up into 8th position. So a good start there for the Brazilian driver. Koke Lopez just making his way around in 9th. In the background, Laskovski goes past Jaap Lammoor on the medium tyre. So now Fraga, incident there. So we didn't catch that on our broadcast. That might be why we saw Fraga fall back down the order slightly. But there's the incident being investigated right now by our stewards. So we'll see what happens there. And now Fraga onto the back of the barrel. Here's a replay, John.
Yeah, here we go, down the start finish straight, heading in towards that first corner. You can see Mangano on the inside of Blajan, going down towards turn number 1. Held the line very nicely, got the apex, got the track position there as well. Igor Fraga, meanwhile, he's on the medium compound of tyres here, Jimmy. That's an interesting strategy call. So if I were him, I'd have probably gone for the soft. Then again, I'm with the racing driver, so what do I know?
I think the thinking behind that is that Fraga wants to be making lots of overtakes early on. So if he's doing that on his soft tyre, he is not using the full potential of that soft tyre. He's using it to overtake instead of using it to do quick laps. And there was a warning there given to Igor Fraga, so obviously at fault for the incident earlier on. We didn't see it, unfortunately, but bad Igor Fraga. So we have Pierre Lenoir into the pits very early on to change onto that medium tyre. Obviously not having too much fun with that hard tyre top.
Yeah, absolutely right there, as you say, Jimmy. So Pierre Lenoir then into the pits. First driver to blink. Lap 3 out of 16 here. Wants to get those hard boots off and get himself onto some quicker rubber. Interesting strategy call is turning out to be. Igor Fraga, meanwhile, trying to find his way past Anthony Duval. He's trying to pressure the Frenchman into a mistake. He's going to be side by side with him as he goes to the left-hander. Brilliant traction from Igor Fraga, and now 7th position in the opening stages of this race as well.
Fraga there using the grip at the medium time. You see how much Duval is struggling compared to the Brazilian driver. Now Laskovski looks to the inside of Fraga. Will he get the move done too? He's on the inside for the hairpin. He does get it done. Duval down to 9th position. Laskovski trying to follow in the wheel tracks of Igor Fraga, which is probably not a bad idea, to be honest. Let's see in front though. So Blajan has had a fantastic race so far as our highest hard tyre runner in 6th position. Meanwhile at the front, Rubelar overtakes Jonathan Wong, goes up into second place there. So the soft tyre runners now, a big gap between them and the rest of the field, about 5 seconds between Mangano and Blajan. But bear in mind, they have to put in soon and they have to run the medium and the hard tyre too, so they are going to come back together as the race goes on.
Yeah, absolutely right. Through the long sweeping right-hander we go, then flicking it into the left. So Igor Fraga there in 7th position. And in fact, the Nations Cup champion, rather, I should say, of the 2018 season. Here we can see Jonathan Wong, meanwhile. He's there in 2nd position. Now, what's going on here between Jonathan Wong and Nicolas Rubelar? Bit of a slip and a slide, a bit of an off-track excursion there for the Hong Kong driver, and that was all that Nicolas Rubelar needed on his way up into 2nd place.
Tell you what, he did well to collect that. Did very well to actually come back on track after that. Of course, lost the place, but kept in the race. As you can see, still in the background there. Here is our leader, Mick Hazal. So Mick Hazal, right now, his task is essentially, I know it sounds obvious, is to just go as fast as possible. He's got no one in front of him. He has the fastest tyre on the car, so he has to be hitting every corner perfectly. Now, we know that Hazal felt a little bit upset about the Nations final last year, not being able to win that, of course, Fraga being the eventual champion. But this is his chance to put that right. He's in a fantastic position right now.
Yeah, certainly is. And we ride on board with Carlos Salazar there in 4th place, the Portuguese driver, doing an absolutely brilliant job trying to close down that gap to Jonathan Wong in 3rd position. Through the right-hander they go, and then flicking it left as they come over the bridge, then begin the long drop down to the end of the lap. That's the highest point on the lap going through there. Past the grandstands we go on the left-hand side of your picture. All of the top 5 on soft tyres. Coque Lopez, the only other driver who has pitted aside from Pierre Lenoir, and he's also gone into the softer compound of tyres for his middle stint.
Nico Rubelar and Jonathan Wong are both gaining on Mick Hazal. The gap's come down by a couple of tenths over that last lap, and Nico Rubelar, who went from absolute devastation at the end of the Manufacturers' Cup final last year to jubilation now in 2nd place. Now we have the first of our pit stops coming in. Patrick Blajan, Nat Lamlaw and Anthony Duval, hard to medium. So they're going to go hard, medium, soft, save that soft tyre for the end, try and have a flying finish.
Yeah, let's see what will happen with regards to that strategy. It's going to be very, very important indeed. And when are the drivers going to be taking on fuel over the course of this race? Pretty much every pit stop one would begin to imagine. Duval and Nat Lamlaw also in the pit lane there, both going from hard to the medium compound of tyres. Lap 5 of 16 we're on already here at Autopolis, coming down in towards that hairpin. Really just drop away on the exit, meaning it's very easy to spin up those rear wheels. But also, Jimmy, it is one of the few passing places around this Autopolis circuit. Meanwhile, Mick Hazal, that gap beginning to stabilise again at about 1.3 seconds there and thereabouts, isn't it?
It is at the moment, as you say, just to put that into perspective, there's only really 2 overtaking spots around here that I would fancy anyway. T1, which is still off camber and very easy to go off the circuit. And also at the middle sector there, another off-camber corner. Very easy to think, you know what, I can chuck one up the inside here, get to the apex, realise the road falls away from you, then you end up just ploughing the car next to you. There is Mick Hazal, our current leader. He's managed to put up a bit more of a gap now. He's going to go for another lap on these soft tyres. Now, there are the stats in the top right-hand corner. If you don't know what that means, 3 times fuel consumption means you get basically 1 lap of fuel is 3 laps taken out of the tank. And the same with tyre wear, 16 times of tyre wear at the moment. Which basically means that the car is going to be different at every corner.
Yeah, absolutely right. It is going to be very, very unpredictable indeed. Meanwhile, Igor Fraga does blink. He pits from his medium compound tyres to the harder compound of tyres in his middle stint here. So that is very interesting indeed. Lukovsky also following suit there as well. So whatever the reigning champion is doing, he is trying to mimic exactly that.
I think he might be going for a shorter middle stint, Tom, so they get on those hard tyres now. Oh, that's going to be bad for Fraga. He's come up just behind Coque Lopez, who is also pitting. Now, Lopez is on the softer tyres, so you could argue maybe for the perspective of both their races, actually a good thing. Fraga has not got to fight Lopez, and Lopez has not got to fight Fraga. He can just try and pull away and make the best of that softer tyre. So my theory now, which will probably be wrong, because it usually is that, of course, the hard tyre being the slowest tyre, you spend as little time on that tyre as humanly possible. Of course, the hard tyre will last a lot longer than either of the other 2 compounds, but it is the slowest by about a couple of seconds a lap. So if you can have a short middle stint, maybe 2-3 laps, maybe 4 laps at a stretch, and then go on to that soft tyre for the fast finish, it's going to look good for you.
Yeah, absolutely right. You're completely bob on there, Jimmy. So let's see what will happen in terms of strategy. Coque Lopez, he's on the softer compound of tyre. He's been on those for a couple of laps now. So in a lap or 2, those things are going to be very much past their best. And Lopez will presumably be going on to the harder compound of tyre. Igor Fraga is, as we know, on the medium compound of tyre now, the hard compound of tyre, but also pit stops taking place further up as well. Mick Hazal is into the pit lane. The race leader goes into the pits, and what's he changing on to? A medium compound of tyre. Takes a bit more fuel there on board as well. Refueling his car. Jonathan Wong, Nicholas Rubelar, Carlos Salazar also in the pits. So the front five there, Jimmy, mimicking one another really.
Tell you what, the interesting thing to see is that Salazar, out of the top five, actually went into the hard tyre compound. So he is the odd one out there. I wonder what his play is in that situation. I think, again, opting for that short middle stint, because the middle stint is the one where you're most likely to be fighting someone at this point anyway, and trying to get a bit of clear air, all the pit stops going big and fast. But here is someone on the medium tyre, Giorgio Mangano, and now, bad for him, he has Salazar in front on that hard tyre. So Salazar is going to be holding up Mangano, especially up this section here. A very fast right followed by an almost fat left-hander. Let's see, watch that throttle input there on the right. Very smooth, very smooth. Then back on the power, out to the curb on the exit there. If you're close enough, you can look to the move to the inside here. Will Mangano think about doing it? No, a bit too far back for now, but it's only a matter of time, I think, Salazar on that harder compound tyre.
Fantastic stuff indeed from all of these drivers. Brilliant, brilliant racing as we ride on board then with Giorgio Mangano in 5th position. He'd love to get himself onto the podium and into those podium celebrations. He's having a bit of a slip and a slide though on those medium compound of tyres, Jimmy. He's attacking Carlos Salazar, who's on that harder compound as we know there as well. So there is going to be a pace differential between the two, but if Salazar is able to try and keep Mangano at bay, at least for the foreseeable future, that could be very beneficial to his chances at the end of this race.
Tell you what, the one to watch right now is going to be Coque Lopez. He's the only runner at the moment on the softer compound of tyres, so he's going to be catching Patrick Blajan in 6th position, hand over fist at this point. So keep an eye on that. Oh, hello, we have a fight at the front. No, sorry, I saw the leaderboard. Just gave me a little bit of a scare there. But anyway, here is Giorgio Mangano to the inside of Salazar. Done deal, I think. There's no way Salazar can defend this unless he's super late on the brakes, and he's not. Mangano, the Italian driver, moves up into 4th position. You'd be forgiven to not remember that Mangano was actually our first World Tour winner back all the way back and last in May at the Nürburgring, and finally showing that quality once more, I think.
Yeah, absolutely right. Good to see Giorgio Mangano back on form here as well. You can see the train of cars, though, that's really been brought through with Giorgio Mangano making his way past Salazar, and now Patrick Blajan is trying to have a bite at the cherry as well. He's going through the right. He's going to try and go the long way round the left-hander. That is going to be an absolutely inspired move from Patrick Blajan, finding his way through into 5th position, attacking Carlos Salazar right at the very best moment, and now he's inside the top 5. Coque Lopez, the next man who's going to try and pick off the Portuguese driver.
That's just not a move you see. I didn't think that's even possible. If that were me, I would have gone flying off into the grass, to be honest, but a great move there by Patrick Blajan. Now, Coque Lopez on that softer compound of tyre, I've mentioned a couple of times before. He needs to get by Salazar as quick as possible so he can use the full potential of this softer tyre. Salazar, being on the harder tyre, one of the slowest cars on track right now. That's not ability, that's just down to the tyre wear, of course. And you'll see it most through this corner. Long right-hander, you need lots of tyre grip here. Look, Lopez just drives up to the back of the Portuguese driver. What kind of exit can he get through here? Let's see.
A bit of a slip and a slide there for Coque Lopez. Not the ideal amount of traction that he wanted going through those rear tyres. Out of that final corner, does just drop him a little bit further back with Carlos Salazar, not close enough for the slipstream to have too much of an effect, and sadly, of course, in turn with that, not close enough to be making an overtake there as well.
Now, I've noticed, Tom, of course, we have a couple of hard runners out there. I think Fraga and McCoskey are the only guys out there that haven't used their soft tyres yet. I might be wrong in saying that, I probably have. But anyway, in this fight anyway, we have our top 5 drivers all on the medium tyre. They're all going to have to go to a harder tyre at the end of this, whereas Fraga will have a soft tyre, and we know how much quicker that is. But, of course, even though Fraga will have that tyre advantage, it's one thing to have the advantage, but overtaking is a whole other story.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Of course, he's still 3.2 seconds behind Coque Lopez there in 7th position as well. That's still a mighty amount of time to make up, even with the soft tyres. The pace advantage isn't too great between them, so he might get himself into the top 5 if he's lucky. But I think a podium position is going to be just a step too far there for Igor Fraga. But then again, stranger things have happened in motor racing, and of course, they usually do there as well. So through into the left-hander, meanwhile, comes Coque Lopez, not able to mount a charge on Carlos Salazar in front. That gap seems to be just getting a little bit bigger marginally there, so Salazar maybe just beginning to find the sweet spot with those harder compound of tyres. Tyre grip between them as well is very, very different. Coque Lopez should, in theory, should be losing that tyre grip there as well now because he's on that softer compound, isn't he?
There you go, as you called it, into the pits he comes. So those tyres were gone for Coque Lopez. That's why he couldn't quite get past Salazar. So he now goes onto the medium tyres. So I think that's his final stop. He's the first to come in for his final stop. Fraga in as well for the soft compound of tyres. Latkovsky is mirroring Fraga. He knows, this guy knows what he's talking about. I'm going to do the same thing. Of course, I think the strategy is decided before the race, but goes to show you that Latkovsky is definitely a thinking driver. Out comes Igor Fraga. Latkovsky only a very little amount of time behind him, and these guys both have it all to do. Now, Lenoir is actually going to come out ahead of Latkovsky. That's going to be bad for Latkovsky. That's another place he's going to make up on track. Same with Yatlan Moore. So, Fraga now, how far behind the leader is he? He's quite a long way behind the leader at this point, but bear in mind, of course, the front five drivers have yet to stop. The front six drivers, sorry, have yet to make their final stop.
Mick Hazal, meanwhile, still looking pretty comfortable. That gap now down, though, to under a second, 0.8 of a second. You can see our international commentary feeds on the left-hand side of your picture there. The Italians trying to cheer on Giorgio Mangano. What about the Germans as well? Well, they're happy as anything at the moment.
What contrast. They got the Italians and the Germans. But there you go, and I've noticed, I think you've noticed as well, that Ruplas has been closing this gap very, very slightly. It's now, if it's kind of hovering around 8 or 9 of a second deep in the slipstream. And I think, again, this is they're doing the opposite to what we saw Latkovsky and Fraga do. They're going to go for a long middle stint and try and make sure they use the hard tyre as little as possible when it comes to the end of the race. So, essentially, the game is stay off the hard tyre.
Blažan into the pits from 6th position there as well, Jimmy. So, the Hungarian driver goes onto the soft tyre for the end of this race. He's got 5 laps to do. That is going to be a very tall order on those soft compound tyres because they wear out after about 3 laps or so. Meanwhile, here's a battle at the back between Yatlan Moore and Anthony Duval. The Frenchman getting the better of the Hong Kong driver into the hairpin.
I have no idea how he got that stopped. He just stopped. I was expecting him to go flying off, but there you go. Very aggressive move. That is not Mick Hazal, that is Mr. Duval. But here's Patrick Blažan. He was the first person to start on the hard compound of tyres, so this gives you an idea of how far Fraga has come. I think Blažan started in 4th or 5th position, and now Igor Fraga is right up the rear wing. And more importantly, they're going to start having this undercut because the guys in the front of the field, they're all on old medium tyres, both Blažan and Fraga. They're now fighting for position until the end. This is the race on track for position.
Look at the differences in driving style on the left-hand side of your screen there as well. Blažan a lot more aggressive with the wheel. Igor Fraga smooth like butter through, well, like a knife through butter rather. I was trying to say butter through a knife then. That's the wrong way round, isn't it? But keeping it smooth, keeping those tyres pretty much under control. A little bit wide there through the hairpin, but on the straight and narrow and keeping that gap at a stable amount. So looking pretty good here for Igor Fraga and Patrick Blažan. Don't forget, of course, the top 5 drivers in this race have still got to make their final pit stop. Meanwhile, Nicolas Rubelar is now ahead of Mick Hazal. And that's actually a pit stop, rather. Mick Hazal's made a pit stop. I thought there had been a mistake there. So Rubelar going 1 lap longer than Mick Hazal here. Presumably, that's an interesting call. He's going to try and get the overcut here, is the Chilean.
Now, this pit stop is going to define the race right here. Now, has Rubelar made the right choice in going 1 lap longer on those worn-out medium tyres? There's Fraga in the background. You can see Lopez there as well, and Blažan. That is the gap between the chasing group and the guys on the hard compound of tyres. So Hazal has it all to do. The gap is around 8 or 9 seconds at this point, and we know the hard tyres about 2 seconds slower per lap than the soft compound of tyres. So when we get in the race, you won't be able to throw anything. They're going to be so close, Tom.
Meanwhile, Blažan versus Coque Lopez once again in this race. Blažan still trying to find his way past Lopez. Lopez parking that Red Bull X 2014 competition on every apex as possible, but Blažan finds a gap. He's trying to find his way up the inside into 6th position as well. They're going side by side. Blažan goes through on the softer compound of tyres over Coque Lopez. That is brilliant.
They're both actually teammates as well. They race for the same esports team, so they know exactly what to expect when they see each other on circuit. Now, Igor Fraga, it's his turn to do the same thing. Now, I wonder now a bit of team play will come in here. We never know. We never like to assume such things, but Yeah, stranger things have happened at sea, and here is Fraga. He needs to get by Lopez as soon as possible. Look at the gap Blajan has already. He's already got 8 tenths on Goka Lopez, and look how much he's struggling. Meanwhile, Mangano, Wong, Rubelar finally into the pit lane for that hard compound of tyre. Let's see where he comes out compared to Hizal.
Wong and Mangano also in as well as Carlos Salazar, so strategies going on. What about Rubelar then? He exits the pit lane. Where's Mick Hizal? There he is! It's been a brilliant strategy call there for Nicholas Rubelar. He's on the hard compound of tyre, as is Mick Hizal. He takes the race lead on lap 13 out of 16. I tell you what, Mick Hizal's heart will have dropped to the floor when he saw Nicholas Rubelar coming out of the pit lane then.
But this is far from over. Our top 2 drivers there together on track, covered by only half a second. Mick Hizal, we know how calm and collected he can be when he is focused. Nico Rubelar, someone who's not been in this position before in the championships and often been eliminated before these rounds, but just showing how much he's come on since the race last year. One of the fastest drivers in the world right now. 2 of them joining out here at Paris. Only 3 laps to go, anyone's race.
Certainly is. Through the hairpin we go. You can hear the V12 engine popping and banging. Hizal getting a little bit sideways out of the hairpin there. Nicholas Rubelar not going defensive at the moment. Doesn't feel that Hizal is close enough to try and launch an attack. But Rubelar needs to keep it calm, cool and collected and not succumb to the pressure that Mick Hizal is putting him under from behind. Through the left-hander we go. Then into the right, into the final sector of this lap.
Around 6 seconds now to Igor Fraga behind. I'm keeping an eye on that battle, that chasing group. More importantly, Patrick Blajan. He is chasing. He's almost onto the back of Giorgio Mangano, the first of the hard runners. Then it's only about 4 seconds to this lead group.
The question though is Blajan, can his tyres hold on to Rubelar with a big slide out of the final corner? Is that going to compromise his run on this straight? Is it going to allow Hizal a bit more of an opportunity? Well, it'll give him some motivation, that is for certain. Look at how much he closes up under the brakes there, does Mick Hizal. This is so close between them.
Hizal trying, Tom was saying Hizal is trying just a little bit too hard at the moment. He knows he's got the speed. Look right up to the back of the rear bumper of the Chilean's car. Just very clumsy left-hander, and then hard on the brakes to his hairpin. Get the car tucked in here to the curb, and then get on the power nice and soft. Look at that input down the right. Wait for it, wait for it, wait for it. There it is, full throttle. Rubelar better through that part of the course than Hizal.
Yeah, looking pretty smooth there is Rubelar. That mistake he made out of the final corner could have cost him very dear. Hizal, though, as you saw there, a bit of a twitch and a bit of a slide, just costing him a couple of tenths of a second. It's not what he needs to be doing at this stage in the race. He needs to keep it calm, he needs to keep it cool, he needs to close that gap to Nicholas Rubelar, otherwise time is going to run out.
Look in the background there is Patrick Blajan on the soft tyre behind Jonathan Wong. Once he gets by, that'll be it. Now there is this under investigation, we'll get back to that very, very shortly. But Patrick Blajan here, he holds all the cars. This could be his race, but he needs to get past Wong as soon as possible. Then he can start gaining on the guys in front. Again, the soft tyre, we think about 2 seconds a lap, faster than the hard tyre. 2 laps to go, about 3 seconds a gap between them.
Well, let's have a look and see what happened between Mangano and Blajan down towards the first corner. This surely was going to be a bit of contact between them. Blajan behind, Mangano on the outside. Is there a bit of door banging between them? Very close indeed, but I think that was just on the edge of fair between the 2 drivers. We'll see what Race Direction thinks of it, though.
Yeah, 6-1, that one. It was a bit clumsy, but we won't focus on it too much right now. Now, Rubelar is starting to pull out a bit of the gap, up to about a second now between him and Hizal, which is rising all the time. Now, look, that's how close Patrick Blajan is. And Jonathan Wong's doing a fantastic job of defending, but not quite for Patrick Blajan, the Hungarian driver, all over the back of that red and white liveried car in front again. Now, down to the hairpin. There is Patrick Blajan. You see him on the left-hand side of your screen. Very sure with his input, you see, and a bit of a sideways motion there coming on exit. You can see really giving it his all as part of the race. Look at the understeer there, the dirty air. He can't do anything through that part of the circuit.
No, he certainly can't. Meanwhile, the gap to Nicholas Rubelar and Mick Hizal is increasing. It's now up to 1.4 seconds, Jimmy. Could this race win be on the cards for Nicholas Rubelar? Has he got enough of a cushion? He's got a lap and a half to go, separating him from a place not only in the World Final, but victory in the Grand Final here for World Tour 1 in Paris. Jonathan Wong, meanwhile, is trying to keep himself on the podium. Patrick Blajan there in 4th place, just closing, but is it going to be enough? Is he going to have the time to try and make a move?
Hizal really slow there for the last part of the course, really struggling to get these hard tyres working for him. It's got to be all or nothing now for Patrick Blajan. He needs to get by very, very soon. If he doesn't, his chance of a podium and maybe even a win are going to be gone. Meanwhile, we come on to the final lap here at Paris, and it's Rubelar that takes us across. Hizal second, 1 third, Patrick Bajan chasing in 4th position, and Mangano falling off the back there. I guess more importantly, just to note that Igor Fraga's challenge has faltered somewhat. I don't think he's going to be able to do much better than where he is right now. But Patrick Bajan, Jonathan Wong, that is a battle to watch.
Yeah, absolutely right. On board we are with the Hungarian driver. Can he get himself onto the podium? Try and pick himself up from a disappointing end to the 2018 Nations Cup. Let's see what he's going to be able to do. And also, while these guys have been closing up, they've been closing up onto the back of Mick Hizal, who just looks to be going backwards. He's all at sea. The race win has been snatched from upon him. He's now 2.5 seconds behind Nicolas Rubelar on this final lap, Jimmy.
Look at that there, and you're seeing again the old adage of passing. So catching someone is one thing, passing is quite another, and the wash from the car behind. I think Mick Hizal, his second place, might be under threat here from both Jonathan Wong and Patrick Blajan. We've seen he's been weak in the last sector before. I'm not sure if it's going to be enough for Wong and Blajan to catch, but it's all this now. Last sector of the race. Can Wong and can Blajan do anything to move up another position?
Well, let's wait and see. There's less than a few corners remaining. We're in the final sector now. Jonathan Wong keeping it steady. Patrick Blajan seems to have just fallen off the back here. Mick Hizal looking pretty set for second place, but Nicolas Rubelar, stand up and take a bow. What a performance from the Chilean driver. He wins the grand final here in Paris. An absolutely fantastic result for Nicolas Rubelar. He qualifies for the World Final in November. Mick Hizal, he's a dejected second. He looked so disappointed with that one. And Jonathan Wong completes the podium in 3rd place as well. You can see the delight on the 21-year-old's face. Congratulated by his countrymen, his teammates. Absolutely fantastic. Don't forget last year, the World Final in Monaco, he was in 16th position. He had such a disappointing end to what was a very promising end to his season. As you see Pierre Lenoir there just getting a bit sideways, a bit squirrely over the line, and Yatlan Law completing the 12 finishers. But yes, Nicolas Rubelar, as we said, so incredible in this one. He has a place. He is the first driver to qualify for the World Final of the FIA Gran Turismo Championships and takes victory in the Nations Cup as well. A handshake there from Mikael Hizal.
There's a flag. There's a flag out. And I got to say, Tom, that of course, if you're in the Hizal's boots, disappointing to come second, but to win here against this field is an absolutely fantastic task. Of course, Rubelar doing that in absolutely euphoric fashion. Just a place, I think, on the podium is an achievement that you should be very proud of, and I think a very popular winner here today in Nico Rubelar.
That was fantastic. All came down to strategy, as we were saying there as well. It really did as well. Mick Hizal pitting a lap sooner than Nicolas Rubelar, and Rubelar's strategy getting that overcut as well. We don't often see that working so well, but it was a strategy that worked very nicely for him.
That was literally it. That was the moment of the race. We called it when it happened, and essentially what happened is that the reason why Rubelar couldn't catch Hizal before was that dirty air. We saw it when Bajan was trying to catch Wong at the end there, and that was pretty much his buffer. As soon as that was done, as soon as the place was changed in the pits, there was no answer for Hizal. He just kind of went backwards.
Yeah, absolutely right there. So what do we think about Igor Fraga as well? Good performance he put in. We thought for a time he could be in potential for a top 5, a podium finish maybe, but just didn't seem to work out for him.
I think that Igor raced to the get for him, really. Interesting strategy call. I think we thought there might be something more in the tank for Igor, but it didn't quite come. Anyway, though, guys, here are our replays, our highlights for the events. And as you see here, first of all, Jonathan Wong, who was originally in second place, got very squirrely under the braking there, just about kept it. Here's a replay, or doesn't look very happy with that, and that allowed Rubelar up into second.
Yeah, it certainly did. Here is on board with Giorgio Mangano at the halfway stage in the race. This was him attacking Carlos Salazar as they went over the line. Down into 4th position, as he managed to do. We're riding on board with him, hard on the brakes. This was a nice little overtake there between the two of them. Here was Patrick Blajan, though, very aggressive in the mid-stages of this one as well. You can see him go all the way around the outside of Carlos Salazar through that long sweeping left-hander. Not a very textbook sort of move, that, but absolutely brilliantly executed.
Move of the race for me, move of the race. And here is Blajan and Jorge Lopez, much the same place. This time Blajan goes, no, I'm going to go on the inside this time, gets from the rear quarter of Lopez up the inside. Thank you very much, son. Another place gained for Blajan.
Yeah, absolutely right. Fantastic stuff from all involved. Here is Mick Hizal then. And that was the moment, of course, the race changed during the pit stop. There's Nicolas Rubelar just keeping it steady there, the Chilean driver. and he took a commanding victory. He wins the grand final here in Paris. He is the first driver in the Nations Cup 2019 to qualify for the World Final in November as well. Absolutely amazing. Here are the final results then, Jimmy. Nicolas Rubbelard on top.
Rubbelard first. Mick goes out. He'll be disappointed with second place, but still a fantastic result for the German driver. And Jonathan Wong, of course, completing out our podium. Patrick Blajan, a nice performance there from the Hungarian driver for fourth. Giorgio Mangano fifth. Of course, my pick, Coque Lopez in sixth position. More importantly, I think, a disappointing seventh for our champion, Igor Fraga.
Yeah, he'll have really hoped for a bit more than that with Igor Fraga as well. Some brilliant, brilliant results. You can see some statistics behind us on screen here now. Just 21 years old is Nicolas Rubbelard.
Makes me feel old.
It makes me feel. I only turned 22 the other week as well. But I tell you what, look at that. 16th Nations Cup World Final last year. To come back from such disappointment for him more than anything in 2018. Disappointing way to go into that winter break. Now, kicking off 2019, exactly what he needed to do.
I mean, what turnaround, really? You can't do much better than going from last, essentially, to first. And I think he very much needed that. He very much needed the time to chill out, just to kind of recover a little bit and really bring back the performance we've seen from him in the Superstar races before then.
Absolutely fantastic stuff, as you were saying there, Jimmy. Delighted to say that we've got Alberto Perez, MC Epsilon, in the commentary position. Alberto, what a final that was. Brilliant, wasn't it?
Yeah, of course. I'm so happy for him because we remember the last final season that we have. He gets the press because he didn't show the kind of driver that he is. And today, finally, he said who is him. You saw that. This incredible guy, incredible person, and of course, he's going to be at the final. That is going to be impressive. Thanks for this kind of drivers.
Absolutely fantastic as well. And it all came down to strategy, didn't it? Mick Hazal pitted a lap sooner than Nicolas Rubbelard, right in the middle of that race, right onto those final set of tyres, but he had the pace, and it worked.
Yeah, we saw he's so good in qualifying. We expect that maybe he get a little nervous like the past season, but today he demonstrated that he's so intelligent, so smart. Finally, yeah, I'm so happy for him. I'm just nervous because I want to give him a huge.
I tell you what, Alberto, I noticed you had a Chile flag there at your desk, a flag of Chile. I thought you were a Lopez fan. What happened there, mate? You jumping ship? Is that what you're doing?
Come on. We are the commentator of all the Spanish language, of course. So, yeah, we were taking care of the Spanish drivers, like Coque. Of course, the Argentinas that I see here, and the ones that is going to come, because all Latin America is going to come to GT Sport this year. So, yeah, it's going to be so good for us.
I'll let you off then.
Alberto, thank you very much for your company. Thank you so much for your time as well. Anyway, with that said, it is now time to go over to our podium ceremony.
Thank you.
So I'd now like to invite our third place finisher to the podium. Jonathan Wong, please. Now it is time for our second place finisher from Germany, Michael Hazal. And the winner of the grand final for the Nations Cup here in Paris and qualifying for the World Final in November, Nicolas Rubbelard. Please be upstanding for the national anthem of Chile. Wow, that was absolutely fantastic. Such passion from the Chilean drivers. And now presenting our third place trophy to Jonathan Wong. Please welcome Richard Brunois, Communications Director from PlayStation France. And now for the trophy for our second place finisher, Mick Hazal, Stefan Filestre, head of brand of the FIA. And the watch as well on behalf of Tag Heuer, the official timing partner of Gran Turismo Sport. Please welcome Olivier Voleri. And finally, the first place trophy presented to our winner, Nicolas Rubilar, is presented by the producer of the Gran Turismo series, Kazunori Yamauchi. These are your winners for the FIA Gran Turismo Championships first World Tour event in Paris.
What an incredible Nations Cup final. We told you, we said right from the start, this was a matter of personal pride. And obviously you can see that in the fact he's sharing his podium with his other Chilean mates. The tears, literal tears in his eyes. That's incredible. We haven't seen that yet. Were you crying a little bit?
Nearly there, man. It's so great to see such passion for this. I mean, some people might know, well, it's Gran Turismo, but no, it's absolutely fantastic to see these people be so just enlivened by this, and you see what it means to them. It's great. It's great to watch. I love it.
I mean, it's, I think there was this terrible misconception about video games or playing esports where people just play a few games and then this is supreme dedication. This is hours and hours of training like you would for any other sport. So to be able to stand on that podium after all of your work, all of your struggles is everything.
Yeah, absolutely right, as you say there, Julia. Anyway, let's have a look at some reactions from our winners as well, because that was absolutely fantastic.
Bravo! Bravo! Yes!
Well, there we are then. Third place for Jonathan Wong. That was pretty impressive for him. Mick Hazal looking a little bit disappointed, but that was absolutely fantastic, wasn't it?
I mean, Mick is looking super happy right now. I'm not going to lie, but then he was so determined to win. And obviously, a bit of a shock as well. Fraga obviously making that tiny little mistake earlier on, and it just had such a knock-on effect. And everyone has a bad day, but it's hard to kind of shake these things off when there's so much at stake.
Yeah, absolutely right. And the great thing is for Nicolas Rubilar now, he doesn't have to worry about the rest of the season if he doesn't want to. He can go straight to that World Final in Monaco. He goes to that straight World Final, and you can guarantee that he is not going to be worried about that in any way, shape or form. He's still going to be competing in every competition that he can.
You stop talking. We've got the winner right here.
Yeah.
Sorry. Come on.
Come
here. Nicolas, congratulations. Come on in. We saw tears in your eyes. I mean, does it mean that much to you winning this?
Yeah, indeed. I mean, it's
It's okay. We love
Well,
you.
you can tell by the reception here that everybody is so delighted for you as well.
I put so much time on this, and to win a world tour, and especially for Chile to be invited to this world tour, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have no words for that.
How did you stay so calm though? Because like, obviously, you know, in the previous World Tour, you had a lot to prove. In the previous World Tour, you had a lot to prove coming into to this World Tour. How did you stay so calm? Because it's all about not making mistakes, right? You have to stay calm.
Yeah, but the thing is to learn from mistakes. I did a lot of mistakes on the last races, and I have to learn from that. And I think I couldn't have done better than today.
He's such a winner all round, right? Let's give a big round of applause for our winner, Nicolas Rubula from Chile. Supremely well done.
Congratulations.
Supremely well done. Go relax. You can go and chill out. Get yourself a drink, whatever you need. Go on and go and meet I'm sure they'll want to take hundreds of pics of you. Thank you so much. So I guess we're kind of at the end of the schedule now, really. I mean, guys, what was it like? You know, we've had the Manufacturer Series, we have the Nations Cup. As always, there's so much. This is the thing I'm learning more and more about racing, is the fact that everyone has like a bad day. So we know next time we go to Germany, which is the next stop on the World Tour, Igor's going to be like, right, I'm coming in and I'm just going to absolutely be completely dedicated and have to smash it. It's kind of has this, everything that happens here has a knock-on effect over the entire season, right?
Well, definitely. If you liked this race, then you have to make sure you'll stay tuned for the next event, because it's only going to get better and better as the stakes get higher.
I mean, what do you think? Have you had a good time?
Absolutely, it's been incredible. So much great action on track, off track as well. Great camaraderie between everybody. Can't wait for Nürburgring very soon.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be some absolutely fantastic racing. Who do you think is going to have a lot to prove for next time?
Mick. Got me Mick. Got me Mick.
Okay, thank you so much for joining us. We will see you next time in Germany at the Nürburgring. Thank you from all of us here in France. This is the Gran Turismo World Championship. We'll be back very, very soon.